everyone, and welcome to Eberron Terminus, the very first episode. Thanks so much for joining us tonight for an evening of Dungeons and Dragons. I'm Chloe, and I will be your Dungeon Master tonight. We are super thrilled to be streaming at twitch.tv/D&D and twitch.tv/Adventurers Wanted. For anyone who's a bit new to D&D, even if you're like watching this on the official D&D channel for some reason, everyone here plays fantasy characters in a fantasy universe. All the 5 players have their own individual characters. They have character sheets that tell them what they're really good at, what they're less good at, special, unique skills, that kind of thing. And most of the time, they will be rolling d20s, dice just like this, and adding something from that sheet to that dice roll to see if they're successful at trying to do various cool, improbable, ridiculous things. 20s are always really good, 1s are bad, and everything else is somewhere on that scale. So whilst these 5 lovely people will be playing their characters, everything else in the world will be played by me, like gargoyles delivering the post and people casting spells and just various vehicles, most likely in this campaign. Between me describing the world and the players describing what their characters do, and some dice rolls to help keep things a bit unpredictable, we will tell a very action themed story this time. So since this is episode 1, there's nothing to recap. We're not going to do a full introduction on characters, but if we could just each introduce ourselves, our pronouns, our character's name, and our character's pronouns. I'll start off. My name's Chloe, and I use she, her pronouns, and I will be playing various characters with various different pronouns.
I'm G, I use he, him pronouns, and I will be playing Rudy, who uses she, her pronouns.
I'm Grace, I use they, them pronouns, and I will be playing Ward, who also uses they, them pronouns.
I'm Matt, I use he, him pronouns, and I will be playing Mac, who also uses he, him pronouns.
I'm Pav, I use he, him pronouns, and I'll be playing Mucht, and they use they, them pronouns.
I'm Vic, I use she, her pronouns, and I'll be playing Aoife, who also uses she, her pronouns.
Awesome. So a few practical things before we kick off into the game. This will run for about 3 hours, and there will be a roughly 5 to 10 minute break somewhere in the middle. We are delighted to be sponsored by D&D Beyond, who are the official toolset, digital toolset for Dungeons and Dragons. D&D Beyond offers a compendium of all the games rules, the lore, adventures, digital tools like a character builder, those character sheets that Grace was just showing off. All of our players are using digital sheets, and you should be able to see on the overlay, this is the direction I need to point, over there. And if you click on them, you can see everyone's character sheets. And also you can click on those beautiful pictures. That artwork is from Aviv Orr, who's done the amazing artwork for us for this campaign. Also, so nice. It's so good. The digital dice alpha is something that is coming really soon to D&D Beyond. Anyone who has a master or hero tier subscription will have early access. And it means you can genuinely roll dice on D&D Beyond for any check, any attack, and much more just straight from your character sheet. I'm not quite sure when it's coming out. I think it's very, very soon. We're also delighted to be sponsored by Ultra Pro, who help you get your tabletop organised with character folios, dice bags, and more. They do a huge number of things. They're a leading supplier and manufacturer of sports and gaming collectibles, and one of those is, very slick reach back here, the Son of That Dice Bag! Hey! So, it's so soft and plushy. If you would like to win one of these, and also if you have a UK address, which is a significant element of that, do say hi in the Twitch chat, and you'll be in a chance of winning. Just so you're aware, unfortunately you won't win this specific little dude. You will win one that is in its wrapping, has never been opened, incredibly sanitary and safe, just if anyone has any questions there. Also, we play with a diverse group of players who play a diverse set of characters with wide-ranging sexual and gender identities. Our tables are trans positive, and we encourage and champion trans players and characters in our games. Myself and the players may portray characters that have a different gender to our own, and we aim to avoid misgendering, but we acknowledge it does happen and we have a policy in place for correcting it. If we miss an instance, however, we're open to being corrected, so feel free to let us know if you think an instant's been missed. Additionally, during the game, there's a chance that you might see people holding up things like this, or someone mentioning a line or a veil. These are some of the safety tools that we use in this game, so if anyone holds up what is their pause card, we'll take a little break to check in with everyone before coming back after a few minutes. And you might hear someone saying, we're going to draw a line under that, or I'd like to draw a veil over that. If someone mentions lines, we just won't be going near that subject. And if someone mentions veils, that's happening, but it's off screen. I won't go into more detail on that. We'll put a link in chat about how those things work if you're interested in them. So, with all that said, we're actually going to kick things off with the official Eberron Terminus video intro featuring Avivor's artwork and some cool music. So, go!
I love it.
So, we are going to start with everyone rolling me a d20. Just a flat d20. Just going to say that's where we're going to start.
I'm going to roll the one that rolled a 19 on the sound check, because I know that it's going to roll a 1 now.
If everyone could just like sound off on your rolls for me.
3.
2.
2. This is terrible.
6.
18. Correct level.
Can I ask for a little roll off between Grace and Matt?
Oh, okay.
Maybe in the pit, Matt.
Oh, this is pretty good. 17.
15.
Okay, cool. So, you'll see what that does in just a couple of minutes. We are going to start in the Braylish city of Sharn, known as the City of Towers, as it is bordered by a river on one side and mountains on the other, so the city could never grow outwards, it has grown up. And right now we are in some of the highest towers in the upper ward of Sharn, in one of the many skyscraping constructions that loom hundreds and hundreds of feet above the ground, emerging above the shorter towers and labyrinthine network of overlapping bridges, spiraling staircases and such like of this huge city, one of the largest city in Brayland and one of the largest cities in Khorvaire. So as we kind of pan up, looking upwards at this skyscraper, there's a bit of movement that's unexpected in amongst the postal gargoyles and mage rights flying and darting around. There is the shatter of glass as a window is smashed from the inside, pieces glittering in the sunlight as they rain down, with Ward having been thrown out of a window. So, before I go a little bit deeper, Grace, could you just give us a little description of what it's looking like as Ward just gets out of this basically high-rise window?
Hi. You might have been wondering how I got here.
Hey.
So Ward is a fairly tall, sort of fairly wide-built warforged. So they are mostly sort of copper plating that looks like it has sort of scratched in arcane runes into the copper plating with sort of dark willow-withy style, almost like muscle strands connecting them. They've got sort of digitigrade rather than plantigrade legs, so more like animal backwards bending knees than forwards bending knees. And they're wearing long coats that I imagine is like fluttering slightly in the wind amongst the sparkling rubble. And they're spiraling down to their seeming death. Chloe, do I have a reaction as I fall, or are we going to...
We will come to that in just a second.
Okay.
Don't worry, I have something. So, just to give a little bit of context on what is actually happening around that, you are all agents of the Line, which is a covert group dedicated to maintaining some semblance of balance, of stability in Khorvaire following the events of the last war, as we are just a couple of years post that. You are currently on a mission to obtain a Siberys Dragonshard from Dargomath, who is a Rakshasa and also a crime leader in the city of Shan. Your specific instructions are to get the Dragonshard. Capturing Dargomath is not necessary, killing Dargomath is not necessary, only if that's the only way to get his Dragonshard. Obviously, Siberys Dragonshards, you would know, are used in the creation of eldritch machines and such like, which is why trying to stop them falling into the wrong hands is an important thing for you all to be doing. You have got inside Dargomath's tower, you've got past the initial security, you've identified where his base is, you've snuck, tricked and fought your way into his inner sanctum, and you've come face to face with him and his personal warforged bodyguard in his beautiful office, lined with multiple rugs, very open, very spacious. Half of the wall just looks like kind of filing cabinets of who knows what information he's got in there. The other half of this curved room is all glass panels, like a conservatory or an observatory, and one huge desk in the middle of it all. And the first thing that happened the moment that you got in there was this warforged, who is kind of teal colour, almost like she's copper and has started to oxidize. Very, very slim and wiry one, actually, kind of similar in some ways to Ward, has just picked Ward up and thrown them out of a window. So we are going to roll initiative, and we will see what happens to Ward and everyone else. We'll sound off initiative in a moment. You just roll for... Oh, that's it. One of those rolls from me was absolutely terrible. So, any 20s and above?
30-20 from Ward.
Hey, sweet.
You're gonna need it.
Yeah. So, any 15s to 20s?
15.
Oof. 10s to 15s?
11.
Wow, okay. Mac and Pav, Vic, what have you got?
7.
And an 8.
Yay. Cool. Okay, so when we come to your character in initiative, feel free to give a bit more of a description of them, obviously. But conveniently, we've already had a description of Ward. Yay. So, shortly before this session started, I asked you all to roll d6s. And Grace, you were one of the 2 players who actually rolled a 5 or a 6, which means something that is common in Shan is something called a feather token, because people fall in Shan a lot, so much there's actually a table called Falling in Shan. And you are one of the 2 team members who, towards the end of this mission, you still have your feather token.
Yes.
So you actually have a tree feather token. If you want to use it, I mean, you have to be outdoors to use it, but fortunately, you've just become outdoors. Would you like to use your tree feather token?
What is the difference between, may I ask, a tree feather token and any other feather token? Does it only work if you fall out of trees? Because...
No, basically, what you can do is you can spring a tree into existence as a means of presumably catching yourself.
Thrilling, absolutely
Or
thrilling.
impaling yourself.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how that goes. Yes, I would love to use my tree feather token. Is that an action, reaction, bonus action?
That is, let me just double check. I think it might be an action.
Because otherwise I might use my reaction when I was chucked out the window to cast Featherfall.
A feather token is an action.
Okay.
So it's up to you. If you don't cast Featherfall or do anything like that, I will have you roll on the falling table.
Okay, I actually love the visual of a tree springing up to catch me more than I love the visual of me casting Featherfall. So yeah, I imagine they sort of crush this tree feather token in their hand, and I will use my action to do that. Does
Okay.
a tree spring up to catch me?
Yeah, so this tree is 60 feet tall, so as you're falling through the air, you can drop this feather token. It hits the ground beneath you. Fortunately, there is a very broad bridge in the upper ward of Shan beneath you, and the moment that it hits, just spiraling and incredibly quickly building up is this oak tree just beneath you, and you just immediately and you are caught in all of the branches and in amongst the leaves and everything of this tree. However, you are about 100 feet or so down from where you were. Since you used a feather token and such, like, that's why I'm not applying any damage there in any sense.
So has a tree just appeared on the bridge now?
Yeah,
That can't be practical for city planning.
it's definitely not gonna be great in terms of city maintenance.
Is there like a sort of like team of lumberjacks who are like, you know, city employed street cleaners?
Thing is, there aren't that many trees in Shan, so there's not much use for
One more
lumberjacks.
now.
That's your action essentially, and in a sense, I guess your movement. Is there any bonus or additional thing you'd like to do?
Okay, how far am I like distance wise from the
From the
building
base-
that we just?
The base of the tower, as it were.
Yeah.
I'd say you're about 60 feet.
So you mean just out of Misty Step distance, Chloe? That's great. Thanks. Love that. Okay. How far? 100 foot, did he say, from the?
Yes. You're in a very well-to-do area of Shan. There are some local watch and such like around. There will also be some very wealthy people around. And every so often you do see kind of postal gargoyles and such like flying about.
Chloe, in my experience in Shan, is a postal gargoyle large and strong enough to carry, say, a 6-foot warforged?
I'm going to say some of them are. It's a matter of if they want to.
Okay. If I hero land in the tree and sort of like balance a little precariously and then sort of like take a look around, do I see a postal cargo that looks like it might be able to carry a large machine?
Let me just... You do.
Perfect.
You're genuinely quite lucky that was a 19.
Okay. Oh no, I was going to message them, but I can't do that because I've used my action. Can I yell?
Yeah, yelling's a
Loudly.
free action.
At the gargoyle? I go, would you consider offering a lift to someone trying to aid the city?
Could you roll me persuasion?
That's not something I'm very good at. Oh, but sometimes the dice help you out. Persuasion. Oh, that's a 15.
Okay. So the gargoyle looks down at you. Obviously, like there's cracks that kind of go across their eyes, and so they kind of like look at you and they just go, "Anything for a fellow gargoyle," having completely mistaken who and what you are. And they will swoop down to you, but we won't get to that until your next turn. Cool. So Dargomath is actually next in initiative order. So Dargomath, as a Rakshasa, looks kind of like a humanoid tiger. Actually has huge gold knuckle dusters on each hand and a very long, very beautiful kind of dressing gown like robe. Keeps it very casual in his office, and Dargomath just kind of looks at you all going, well, absolutely adorable that you're all here. Sorry about your friend. You seem like a fascinating, eclectic bunch, and I'm sure you're very entertaining, but really can't get involved right now. I'm a very busy man. And dashes over to one of his large filing cabinets, whispers something. Vic, Aoife's got ridiculous passive perception, right?
I do, yes. I have 23 passive perception.
Wow.
So you probably hear it as Dargomath whispers the message to unlock this, which is just Dargomath is the king of everything, and then opens up this filing cabinet. Reaches in. You can definitely see the flash of amber, which is how you would recognize a Siberys Dragonshard. Puts it into one of his pockets, and then starts looking around, deciding exactly which way he's going to leave. But he's used a couple of objects there, so I'm going to say that's Dargomath's turn. Rudy, give us a little description of Rudy.
Rudy, well, for most people watching, they can see the awesome artwork. Whatever side it's on, I don't know what way I'm facing. Yeah, Rudy is a half-orc barbarian. She wears, she carries a big maul, like a big kind of warhammer thing with points on the end, and two kind of spiky blade things, sort of like little scythes that are called Kana. And she has a pair of goggles, sort of aviator style goggles almost, on her head that she can pull down over her eyes, and they provide her with her link to her familiar, who is a sort of automaton dog that she used to fight with in the war.
Nice.
So yeah, that's what she looks like.
So you can see that Dargomath's just put the dragon shard into his pocket, and a little distance away from him, so you're kind of in a triangle, is his bodyguard, and she is kind of, they're both equidistant from you.
Okay. I'd like to take one of my Kana little side things and throw it. I'd want to try and like get it in his leg. Nothing like too damaging, but I want to stop him going anywhere. Okay,
cool. Make an attack roll. I assume that is a weapon you can throw.
Yes. So my attack roll is 26.
I mean, yeah, that hits. Do you want to describe exactly like where and how it goes into his leg?
So I think it gets him in the calf, and just kind of gets sort of right into the side of his calf and just sort of lodges there.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Go.
All you hear is he just growls, "Shield!" and seems to be growling it at the Warforged.
Okay. The damage on that is 9.
Okay, cool. Anything additional you'd like to do? I mean, you're a barbarian. There's some bobs there.
What else can I do?
Is there anything that you would like to do?
That might be. Is that an action the first time?
Bonus.
That's cool.
Sorry?
As far as I remember.
In terms of whether you want to do any raging.
Not. Do I? Yeah, I guess. Yeah, activate my rage.
I'll say that also with the dimensions of this room, you know that you can angle yourself so you are at least 10 feet from. I mean, yeah,
I make sure I'm 10 feet away from people because my rage is a storm aura that sets everyone else on fire.
Cool. Do you move yourself within range of like Dargomath or Shield?
I think if he's not going anywhere, I kind of square up to Shield. Sorry, is Shield the name?
Shield is the name of the Warforged, and uses she/her pronouns.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I square up to Shield, pulling out my giant maul as my rage aura extends.
Cool. And that's 3. Do you want to describe what that's like? Because that's going to damage Shield.
So I've got Rudy has a little sort of amulet type thing, not an amulet, it's like a pin on her top that she kind of smacks, and that mechanically that is her barbarian rage, but I'm dressing it up in Eberron style things, so from the little gem amulet, it just sort of extends like almost like a bubble around her of sort of swirling bits of fire, basically.
Nice. You've all seen Rudy do this before. You know what it's like. And how much damage is that to shield?
That's 3 points of damage.
Let me just check that there's no resistance or anything. Great.
As for sidekick, my familiar, sidekick looks like a dog, takes on the shape of a dog, but has again mechanically just a standard familiar, but I'm dressing it up in lots of flowery language. So basically, he looks like a dog, and has various different sort of modes that I can set him into. To change mode takes an hour of the Find Familiar casting, and each mode sort of equates to the different animals that you can choose as a familiar.
Mm-hmm, cool.
So currently, Sidekick is in spider mode. Cool. So how tall is this room? What's the sort of height of the ceiling?
The room's about 15 feet tall.
Okay, cool. So yeah, Sidekick runs up the wall, just as standard dog, runs up the wall and is stuck standing upside down on the ceiling. And I think just prepares his action to help someone when they're within the next few turns, by, I don't know, distracting shield or something.
Do you want to pick a person? Because there needs to be a specific trigger for a held action.
Okay. In that case, I will help whoever's next.
Okay, so that's Mac.
Cool. We'll help Mac with whatever Mac tries to do.
Cool. And yeah, for anyone wondering how Rudy has a familiar, Rudy is also a magic initiate, so
yes,
can do magic bits. Can I just check the cannon that you threw at Dargamath?
Yes.
Was that one of the ones that's been made magical by Mac's artificer skills?
I don't think so. Not currently.
That was just checking what kind of damage. Okay, so
Okay.
Mac, it's you.
Hi, I am a human artificer with I have a prosthetic metal arm, which is only visible out the end of my armor because I'm wearing a lot of armor. And I also have what looks like a familiar, but is actually a steel defender, my faithful companion. I look like an ordinary human, except my features are slightly different. I have slightly more angular face, slightly larger ears, slightly bushier eyebrows, almost as if at some point, as a long-tooth shifter, I might have the head of a hyena eventually. There's just a hint of that in his human form. But yes. So give me the layout of what we're dealing with here. So how far away are we? How far away to get to people, to get to things happening?
So the room is about 45 feet across.
Yep.
And Dargamath is on the other side to all of you. Basically, when you appeared in the room, you were all on one side, Dargamath was on the other, and
yep.
Shield was near the door and just went to the other side of the room with Ward. So Dargamath and Shield are now kind of almost side by side-ish, and you're on the other side.
Okay. Can I? So I can't. So I probably can't. So they're both 40 feet away. Is that right?
Yeah, about 40 feet.
About 40 feet. Okay, so I can't actually make it to them. I guess, is there in this office, is there like an ashtray or something on the desk, or something weighty, something? I think it can be like 5 pounds.
There is basically a Newton's cradle.
Okay.
There's a little desk toy. It's a very sparse desk apart from that, but there's a very cool, and it's like illusory, so it looks like little planets hitting each other. It's a very fancy
Cool.
fancy Newton cradle.
Oh yeah, if he's like any kind of boss, he's probably really proud of that. So I want to smash that up, definitely. So I cast catapult on it. I'll do it at first level,
Okay.
and I am going to try to smash that into his head. from the desk.
Okay. So is that an attack roll with catapult? How does that?
It's a save, so basically he has to dodge it. So it's a Dex 14 save.
So I'm doing a Dex save for Dargamath.
Yeah.
Okay.
You are.
Oh, Dex is not great. That's a non-nat 20.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
He saves, so he it doesn't set on a.
Oh, sorry. Sidekick was meant to be helping with this, so can Sidekick bark and distract him so he's not paying attention to the thing flying at his face?
What I'm going to say is, because I forgot that technically help you have to be within 5 feet, but I'm happy for what Sidekick does is to essentially jump down from the ceiling because Sidekick's in spider mode. But I will be a bit more aware of that in future.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, I get imposing disadvantage, I guess is how that would work. In this
That's what I was thinking.
Specific way of helping. That's a 13! So
Yes!
it just
Sweet.
fails thanks to Sidekick. But can I just make a little question? Sidekick is in spider form, but Sidekick is in spider mode, but it's barking. Is it just that it's really weird?
Yeah, I guess so.
It's this spider thing tries to bark. Dargamath is briefly distracted. And where would you like the Newton's Cradle to hit Dargamath?
I'd like it to hit him in the side of the head. Like it's just off the desk and into the side of the head.
If we zoomed in super close, you would see each of the things hit each other, and then the last one like hit Dargamath in the head as it just slams into him. Roll me some damage.
Oh, nice. So last one was good anyway. So he takes 13 damage from that.
13 damage. Okay.
And
and
I am going to
that's a
move.
magical attack, isn't it? Yeah.
And I'm going to move 30 feet forward. Your rage thing, does that happen when you rage at start, or does it maintain, and is it up all the time?
I can use it. I can use a bonus action to deal damage again, but if you're right next to me, I can choose not to do that. So
okay, so I'll move 30 feet forward, so it's easier to engage them next time.
Cool. Great. It is now Shield's turn, and there's one of you in particular that they want to deal with. So, Rudy.
Yeah.
Shield turns her head to you, and you haven't heard Shield speak, and Shield doesn't actually use common or anything. What you just hear is cogs grinding up against each other, which seems to be the way that Shield communicates with Dargamath. And there's just this really deep, gnarly grinding as Shield turns to look at you. And I'm going to need you to make a athletics or an acrobatics check, because Shield is going to try and shove you straight out that window.
Okay.
Yep. So I will roll.
Is Shield making an attack roll?
Shield is making a strength check instead of an attack roll, because this is a shove.
It's technically an attack, isn't it? As far as I understand.
It's not an attack roll. It doesn't count as an attack roll.
That's a 15.
Okay, that's actually. Let me just double check. That's a 15. So, status quo remains. Doesn't manage to shove you, as I'm going to say. That's how that rules. But basically gets right up against you and has blocked you off from the rest of the room. But hasn't managed to actually get you out of the window, has maybe got you like 1 or 2 feet back, but hasn't managed to get you out because Rudy is stacked.
Yeah.
Cool. That's also...
So can I say then, as she grabs me and pushes me back, I kind of look at her with the grinding going on and just go, Honey, you gotta get something done about that noise. Maybe some cough syrup or something.
Just more grinding, but slower. Pav, it's Mukt's go.
So Mukt is a changeling, and they spend most of their time in a human male form, which is what they look like at the moment. They are, of course, wearing a wonderful tuxedo with very shiny red shoes. So Mukt has spent most of the time looking at the rugs, because they look like really nice rugs, and is enjoying the quality of the fabric in the room and the dressing gown as well. So Mukt is going to spend their action casting Suggestion on the Rakshasa.
Ooh, okay.
And they are going to suggest to Dargomath, excuse me, do you mind throwing me that thing you got in your hand over there? Oh, and also, where do you get your rugs from? Yeah.
Okay, Dargomath's going to have advantage on this save because he's in combat with your allies. What save am I making? What do I need to hit?
You are trying to make a Wisdom 16.
Ooh, okay. Let's see if this one's higher. Nope! Both of those have failed. Yeah. So it was just throwing you the rock, right? And where do you get the rocks?
Yeah, I would ask. That's actually the more important part. Is who is the rug dealer? Okay.
In that case, you get the verbal reply of, oh, well, you know, Amarathi's rugs in the middle ward is really the only rug place to go. The throw will happen on Dargo's turn, since that's technically a thing, but you have very clearly charmed Dargomath.
I would then also like to use my bonus action to give Rudy inspiration, and I would just look at Rudy and say, Rudy, don't fall.
Super inspiring. Cool. And over to Aoife.
Okay, Aoife is a druid and therefore looks a little bit out of place in sort of the high-tech Eberron Shan world, which has very few trees apart from, one new one. You can see her wonderful artwork on the screen. Yes, she's got a slightly greyish tinge to her due to kind of the place where she grew up, which is obviously not in Shan. But on her turn, she's going to kind of survey this scene and bring a bit of the wild to this place, and is going to walk up to the Rakshasa and put a hand on the floor and going to cast Entangle.
Ooh, okay. So you are going up to the Rakshasa, and I assume that's some kind of... And Entangle, is that a strength one?
It's a strength throw. So basically, from where her hand hits the ground, there's going to be just like big, thick vines going and just wrapping themselves around his legs and up his body, but keeping his hands free so he can, throw the stone to...
Oh, I see. Very specifically... Okay.
Well, it makes them restrained, so they're not grappled. They just can't move. They can't run away.
They can't move. Yeah, I'll allow that a throw is still available.
Yeah. So it's a DC 16 strength save.
Oh man, 15.
And as it happens, she goes, "I'm so sorry about this, Your Majesty."
You just get like a look of like, Dargomath's fine patronising other people, not cool with other people patronising him. Mm-hmm. Any bonuses you want to use?
No one's hurt at the moment, are they? So no, I'll just kind of move back from where I've cast the spike growth. Well, no, the entangle.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Ward. So you've made a new friend.
We are one and the same.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just checking how swiftly this gargoyle can get you back up.
Maybe a thing to bear in mind as well is that if it's carrying me, it's half that. So
true.
I might get there a little bit later.
So basically, we said you were 60 feet or 60 feet away from the base and like about 100 down. So
whatever that is in Pythagoras theorem, you know.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna align that a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call it about like 120. And so with Ward, like this gargoyle wraps their little arms around you and starts hoofing you up and starts on a very juddery, slow upward trajectory, going about 30 feet, flying around with just these wings, really trying incredibly hard. Don't worry, we'll get you there.
My dear friend, seeing as we have so much in common, you don't suppose you could sort of get there any quicker if you tried to sort of dash, as it were?
Oh, you're one of the clever ones. And then doubles the speed of the wings. It's kind of like a weird hummingbird effect currently, and so you get halfway there. You start to notice there's a little bit of a weird commotion going on. Some of the very wealthy people are not happy about this new tree in the middle of a road, and they are not afraid to ask for the manager to find out how they deal with this.
I feel like this is a very solar punk sort of vibe. Is causing destruction by growing trees. Oof. So can I see what's happening in the room? If it's like a large window.
There's a large window. It's about 60 feet away. So I think what you can probably see is that Rudy is very near to the hole that has been created by you being smashed through that window. And you can like hear bits and pieces of commotion. Like you hear a very weird sound that sounds like a spider trying to bark, and things like that. But at the moment, it's just you can kind of see movement inside rather than anything closer. Sometimes the wings are obscuring. Yeah.
If I can see Rudy, can I also see Shield trying to push her out the window?
Yes. Obviously, Rudy is currently blocking your view of Shield. You can only see bits of Shield behind Rudy.
Would you say that I can see enough of Shield to be able to cast a spell on her? Or would you say no?
Slightly depends which spell, because there are some spells that never miss. If you're able to see like a little bit, but it might count as cover.
Okay, if I can... What I was going to do was cast something that might be able to restrain her, but I don't technically need to be able to. If I can see a creature, I can affect her. I want to cast Maximilian's Earthen Grasp.
Okay. If there's is that a save from her? Is that an attack roll? Basically, if it's an attack roll, I'm going to give her some cover. But otherwise, if it says you just need to be able to see them, and it happens.
Yeah, I need to be able to see the ground that I'm casting a spell on, and in order to grab her with my big hand, then I need to be able to see her. And she will be making a strength saving throw.
A strength save, okay.
Yeah. I think that the thing that happens as I'm sort of being hugged and fluttering very, very slowly up to the building, Ward sort of extends a hand and just very gently like, no, you don't. And this sort of hand emerges from what I'm imagining the sort of the office flooring, and it's made of the same stuff as the office flooring, and it's just going to try and impose itself between Rudy and Shield and sort of gently grab her and sort of move her away. Just no, stop that.
So the hand is made of the same stuff as the floor?
Yeah.
Okay.
But, I mean, technically in the spell it's earth, but there's no earth here, so I'm sort of imagining that it's like pulled up out of the
What's the save?
Carpeting. The save is a strength saving throw. 16 is the DC.
So you cast this spell, and there's a rumble under the ground as like this kind of big hand made of finely varnished wood. But I'm also going to say that Shield is standing right on top of a rug, so it's almost like it kind of like coddles her in the rug, but also just completely holds her as she fails that throw.
Amazing, great.
You all see this from inside. You didn't see who did it. You can make a safe assumption as to who.
You've probably seen them do it before. Just
Yeah.
like, no, stop that.
Anything else?
I'm going. Oh, it automatically takes. She automatically takes damage.
Okay.
So because she's failed the strength save, so she takes 6 points of bludgeoning damage, and she's restrained.
Okay. So, next up is Dargamath, who is currently in all of these vines and such like that Aoife's created, but was successfully suggested. So throws the dragon shard to you, looking furious about it in the process. But since you've also left his arm free to do that, he does reach out and pulls on a basically a very fine rope with like those little tassels on the end, pulls it down, and you just start hearing a very faint like sound of a bell, like maybe an alarm going off. Is there anything that Dargamath can do on his turn, Vic, in terms of breaking free?
He can use an action to make another strength save, but if he already threw the thing, then that's up to you about whether that was an action or not.
Well, he's technically, I'm going to say that he's basically he's manipulated 2 objects because he's thrown and he's pulled that, so technically action is done. Starts just shouting, Shredder! Shredder! Just starts shouting that quite loudly. We'll see what that means.
I don't know if you take constructive criticism, but your names for your Warforged aren't very inventive.
They're their names. It's then over to Rudy.
Okay, with how far how far am I away from the Rikshasa?
From Dargamath, you're probably about 10-15 feet away. But
Okay.
you do have Shield has now interposed herself between you and him.
But she's restrained now. I can
Oh,
just
of course,
confront
yes,
her,
sorry,
right?
she's in a big hand.
Yeah.
Big
Yeah.
old hand.
She's in a big hand.
So I go over to Dargamath and I pull my canna out of his leg.
Oh.
And I turn to everybody and just say, guys, I think that bell was our cue to leave. And I don't know. I don't know how we're leaving. So
Can I just check something? Grace. Shield in the hand. Restrained?
Restrained. I will look up whether restrained.
Just
means
double
that you
checking
can
that,
get-
because technically Rudy has left her space, so there may actually still be an
Yes.
attack of opportunity. So I know restrained sounds like you can't do stuff, but sometimes
yeah.
Yes,
There's actually
your
space in
speed is 0. You have disadvantage on strength saving throws. They can make attack rolls, but they have disadvantage.
Okay, she is going to make an attack roll with disadvantage.
Can I retcon that? I wouldn't have moved if I'd known that.
I
She
will.
has disadvantage, but
She has disadvantage.
I'm happy to not retcon it. It's up to you.
yeah.
I will allow you to retcon it in this one instance because that was me forgetting.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, and it's the kind of thing you'd be aware of working with Ward.
In that case, I want to throw Shield out the window.
Oh, poor shit. She's just doing a job.
And so because this might go horribly wrong, and Sidekick runs over. I have a rope in my equipment.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like Sidekick to run over and just grab the end of the rope in case anything terrible happens.
Okay. How are you going to throw her out when she's currently restrained in
held.
a magical hand?
Yeah, damn it.
Yeah, unfortunately, that puts a bit of a spanner in that works.
And there was me trying to give you a hand.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's both my ideas gone out the window. Shit.
Along with
All these puns.
You can try and move. Like she will try to attack, but it'll be at disadvantage. Otherwise, if you want to try and do anything at range, you can.
Chloe, can I say, would we have known that Ward had the specific tree token?
I think you roll history for if you remember or if you noticed, because you would at the top of your mission you were probably given these.
Oh yeah, I definitely know that's a natural 20. So
yeah, you're pretty sure Ward, but you also know that Ward, because Ward has Featherfall, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it might be that Ward's. You're not quite sure which one's been used.
Okay. Yeah.
So sorry then. Can I just disengage and walk away? That's my action. I grab my canna, like I said before, and I turn to everybody. Cue to leave. That's my turn.
Yep, absolutely.
Cool.
Cool. So, Mac.
Okay, so we have the thing we came for. Both of the people currently that might attack us are restrained in some way, restrained or entangled.
Yes.
So yeah, I feel like whereas I was moving into attack, I'm now actually going to move back the 30 feet that I was, because I need to see out of the window to see if there's a tree to jump in down on the ground.
Okay. Yeah, you can totally, because there's a huge amount of windows, so you don't have to look out of that specific hole where shield is. So you have a little look down. I'm gonna say, like, you don't have to roll perception on this because it's gonna be obvious. Trees don't normally happen in Shan. And so you're just taking a look out of like roughly the area outside.
Yeah. So I'll get there. I'll look out. But if this is something that we could jump and fall into, then I want to then jump and fall into it, because it looks like at this point we're mission accomplished. So we need to kind of extract ourselves. Is it like 60 feet down, 100 feet down? What was it?
So it's 100 feet to the drop, but I think that the tree itself is quite tall. Basically, looking out, you see bits of a tree. You're pretty. Oh yeah, that's a tree, because it's hard to see, because in front of that, between that and you, is this gargoyle like furiously flapping their wings, carrying Ward.
Yes, doing a fantastic job. Very good. Just keep doing that. Yes, good. Thank you.
Wait a minute. If you're a gargoyle, why aren't you flying yourself?
I damaged my wings in a very serious accident only yesterday.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yes.
That's a tiny bit of intelligence. So you can see that there's a tree. It is something that you could potentially try to jump into, but it would require like being very specific, because obviously Ward was able just to drop that beneath them as they were falling. So I'm gonna have to kind of leap out to it, I guess. If you want to, yeah.
I feel like we need to get out of here. Mission accomplished. Let's do this. We got the thing. Let's go.
You also you would know that I can cast Featherfall on a group of creatures as long as you're all out the window. I can do 5 of you, and I imagine that we've probably done it before, jumping out of some dumbass tower and just like sailing down like what?
So actually, I will move to the window, and I will hold my action for when everyone else is ready to jump out of the window.
Nice.
And I will shout, "We are leaving!"
Okay. Cool. It's now technically Shield's turn. So she is gonna try and get out of this damned hand. Is that just a strength save?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh god damn it! I'm rolling so badly. That's a 9 on the dice, so it's only gonna be like a 12.
I'm gonna do it. It's just now gonna do it.
You just hear like, again, it's like cogs, but it's almost like the sense that they're breaking and parts are pinging against each other in the strain and the stress of it. is what you hear. However, it's also at this point that doors open and you can see at least 2 more Warforged bodyguards, and they're filling up a lot of the space of the doorway, but you can hear more people coming. That's them for this round of just like opening up the doors. They're now here. It's over to Mukt.
So about these rugs, how big is the nearest rug?
They're kind of I guess the nearest rug is about 6 feet by 4 feet.
Okay, what I would like to do is pick up the rug, not do what Mac is sensibly doing and wait for everyone, and instead, like Aladdin out of the window on a rug immediately.
Kind of gliding with it, like holding
Yeah, but like I mean, ideally surfing it, that may not work. But like that's what.
I like the use of Aladdin as a verb.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So can I just check? Are you waiting to jump with everyone else, or are you just? Okay. So you're just gonna jump out with like I'm just checking this. You are just jumping out with a rug.
Maybe I should not. The Aladdin part may be a bad idea. Maybe I should do the holding it and then.
As someone who tried that in real life when they were 10, doesn't work.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that I don't know. I mean, okay. I guess what I would do is I would pick up the rug, run towards the window, and kind of get what Mac was planning, and then would probably look back at the fact that there are people coming into the room, and attempt to jump out. Unless I got very strong vibes from Mac that was a bad idea for some reason that I wasn't aware of.
If I see Mukt at the window looking like he's going to jump out. Wait, all at the same time. Wait.
In which case, then I'll wait.
Yeah.
I'm happy I got my rug, so I'm good.
Yeah. Cool.
He's going to be annoyed because that thing really tied the room together, man.
Aoife.
Speaking of things being tied together, I will back up towards the window as well, kind of moving us. Excuse me, sorry, Shield, sorry. Okay, are we ready?
You're all, I believe you're all at the window, right? I mean,
I'm
Rudy,
not yet.
Rudy
Not
went.
Yeah.
So yeah, Rudy's not quite there yet. Rudy's the only one who's further in the room.
Okay.
Okay, well, I guess I'm going to hold jumping until Rudy gets here.
Cool. So, just so that you're all aware, obviously, the moment that you jump, you are technically moving out of Shield's area. She can't attack all of you, but she will at least have an attack of opportunity, still at disadvantage, but on someone. Just so that you're all aware of that as players, and also like this isn't your first rodeo. Like you know about stuff like this. So we were actually just coming. That was Aoife's turn, right? Was that just moving? Was all you wanted to do? Cool.
Yeah, just be maintaining concentration on, the vines.
Yes. Cool. Ward, it is back over to you. And so the gargoyle is moving with you, dashing. So we'll get there. Basically, you'll get up to the window.
Okay.
About now.
Sick. Okay. So everyone but Rudy is looking like they're ready to jump out the window, right?
Yes. Everyone else is there next to Shield.
But now I can see everything that's happening in the room.
Yes, you can see just about, because obviously everyone's kind of condensed in that little area, but you can see that the doors are open, that some Warforged soldiers are starting to pour in, as well as some other humanoid aides of Dargamath. You can see that Dargamath is currently a little bit tangled up. Yeah.
Can I see that one of them has got the dragon shard? Is someone like holding it triumphantly up?
What are you doing with it, Mukt?
I'm more of a put it in my pocket kind of person, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay.
You can always, I mean, like talking's a free action.
Are we done? what's going on? Have we got it? Are we all escaping? Well, what's happening?
Yeah, we got it.
We're good to go.
Fantastic. Perfect. I'm going to just don't fight it, and I won't have to crush you, I say to Shield, who's in the hand, and I would like to convince her not to try to attack anyone as they fly out, with the arrangement that if she she doesn't know that I would have to use my reaction to cast Featherfall, but I'm trying to convince her not to do that.
So is that just like that's not magically, that's just persuading?
Yeah, that's me literally saying, no, stop it, I've got you in a hand.
You are welcome to roll persuasion. The DC is quite high.
You don't think that was convincing?
To override her loyalty to her benefactor that she's had her entire life.
That's a 7, so I'm sure it does it. Sister, honestly, no, just it's not worth it. Just well.
Just like you see parts of her face just like move as more crunching and such like happens, but this is louder, almost akin to shouting.
Fine. And I'm going to just like from where I'm standing on the where I'm hung beneath the gargoyle, I'm just going to. Oh wait, sorry, that might be an action. No, I can't do anything because I made a.
Yeah. You tried to
persuade. Yeah. I'm going to. It would be my reaction to cast Featherfall, so that is my action and bonus action and all of that.
Cool. The
I would
gargoyle...
like to hold. So I would like to hold my action to when Rudy jumps, I will jump from the gargoyle and go, thank you terribly for your service. We've all got to stick together as gargoyles, and pat them on the shoulder.
You can ask the gargoyle to release you in a moment, but you can't kind of hold an action since you've used an action to persuade.
You're right. Okay, yeah, then I'll say, would you mind terribly unburdening yourself of me when all of these dumbasses jump out the window?
They jump, I let go.
Yeah. Thank you terribly.
Seems a bit odd, seems a bit redundant me bringing you up here, but okay.
Sometimes you've just got to see things with your own eyes, you know.
That's what you get from the gargoyle. Okay, so it's Dargamath's turn. Basically, I will admit I forgot some abilities that Rakshasa have with regards to certain spells. But because that's on me, what I'm just going to say is that I'm going to give him advantage on this particular one to try and get out, because he would normally actually be immune to stuff like this.
But what it's worth, he would have disadvantage because he's restrained, and being restrained gives you disadvantage on strength saving throws, so that if you give advantage it would cancel out to a flat roll.
True.
But if he would usually be
But
immune.
this is me trying to kind of find a way of getting around something where it's on me for getting some things. So this is strength. I mean, to be honest, the first roll is a 16 on the dice. So, which is a non-nat 20. So, I'm not even going to roll for like a nat 20. Just breaks free, seeing that you are all about to jump out of that window and feeling emboldened by the fact that finally his people are here. And also, someone's trying to take one of his rugs, even though he very graciously told you where to get said rugs. So that's really annoyed him. So, breaks free. And is going to basically run over. I mean, breaking free, that's technically
breaking free is an action.
Breaking free is
If I'm next to him, I'm next to him, I've just pulled my canna out of his leg. Do I get an attack of opportunity as he tries to move away?
Oh, true. You're right in front of him. Yeah, he cares
or
too
can
much.
I grapple him as a reaction?
He cares too much about the dragon shard. to worry about getting potentially attacked by you. In terms of grappling, that is technically, it's a form of using the attack action.
Right. Okay.
So grappling is a reaction. I'm not sure that that's actually no. Sorry, grappling as a reaction is fine.
Cool.
So that's going to be athletics from you. And
Okay.
it's going to be athletics or dex from him. Probably athletics.
It's a 19.
It's definitely not going to beat my 9 on the dice. Targamas is having a bad day. So
I just grab him like by the collar.
Oh.
Oh,
By the
geez.
scruff of his tiger neck.
Oh.
Okay. I mean,
Oh yeah, actually, proper scruff of his tiger neck.
so does that. I'm just going to check that because I don't think he has any. No, there's no bonuses or such. Like, just starts yelling, "Shredder, anyone get them!" And then it's over to Rudy.
Yes.
I mean, you want to jump out, but you're holding on to Dargabath.
Okay, in that case, I want to can I just push him away? Like, sort of throw him into the corner?
I guess making a shove would be an action.
Is the actual jumping out an action, or is that part of movement?
Is actual jumping an action, or is it technically part of movement? I believe. Sorry, I'm just racking my brains. It's a part of movement, so you could use the action to shove, and then Eberron jumps it.
So I want to just shove him, throw him into the corner, and then bolt for the window.
Okay, so in order to shove, it's going to be a fresh strength check versus athletics or dex from him.
You have inspiration. Don't
Remember
forget.
you've got
Oh
inspiration.
yeah, you've got inspo.
Use the inspiration.
You've got D8.
So that is 22.
Nice.
Sweet.
Yeah, Dargamath rolled a 1.
Yay.
Do you want to describe?
What furniture is in the room? Is there a big mirror?
There's not necessarily a big mirror. There are some filing cabinets that are currently open. If you wanted to try and like shove it away, there's the desk with a few bits and pieces over it. There are some chairs, or there's other windows, but you can only shove 5 feet.
Yeah. Okay, nothing dramatic then. I can't think of anything. So yeah, I just kind of throw him on the ground and make a bolt for the window. I aim myself to be closest to shield as we're all jumping.
Okay, I see.
And as I run over and motion and signal everyone to jump out, I just shout, "Come on, you dummies! What you waiting for?"
So I'm going to say that because Dargamath rolled so low and you rolled so high, what happens is you manage to shove him back. He falls to the floor and starts rolling and basically becomes auto-rolled up in one of the rugs. Like just trapped. And as Warforged soldiers and other individuals in Dargamath's clan, a couple, like one other Rakshasa who's a relation, and you've got like some halflings and some dwarves start like pouring into the room as he's shouting from like inside this rug. You just all pelt it to the edge and jump. Shield is going to try and attack. Obviously Rudy is the closest. That's 13 and 11 on the dice. So from Shield, that is going to be a 16.
My AC is 16.
So that is going to be 9 points of damage. Does like she does remarkably well, and it's just because it's her arm blade. Like there is a whole blade, a little bit similar to Ward, but much like sharper, much more fresh, and just spears you through the leg, catching you as you fall or jump out of the window. Okay, so you've all jumped out of the window. And as instructed, your gargoyle friend just releases Ward. So, are you all trying to aim for like landing in the tree and softening your blows, or is Ward using their reaction?
I'm going to use my reaction to cast Featherfall. So I think the thing that happens is that you sort of notice like there's sort of like almost exhaust ports running down Ward's ribs, and sort of they like sort of air starts sort of hissing out of them, and there's this sort of dull green glow of energy that you'd sort of recognize as being like their magical core, and they sort of gather up some of the air as it hisses out and throw it across the group, and all of us just like almost like we're landing on the sort of the cushion of air, still falling 60 foot around, so still falling quite quickly, but yes, they cast Featherfall on us all as we fall.
Cool.
And the title comes up on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically we get 2 rounds of you all like drifting and falling down towards this tree. You can probably see as you're looking up at the increasingly distant smashed window that people are gathering around it, and individuals are watching you, clocking you. No one's currently jumping down, but you can see some of them backing off from the window, and you can only assume they are going to be running down that tower and trying to head after you as quickly as possible. However, you all you don't necessarily need to land in the tree, because Featherfall will make sure that you're not going to take any damage regardless. What you actually fall into is just one very, very elegantly dressed, lots of floral patterns, dwarf woman complaining to a member of the city guard, this masked-looking tiefling in this case, who seems to be having a big old moan about this random tree that has appeared outside of her house. But you all just float down and land in whatever superhero action pose you would like to, I guess.
I want to hear this woman complaining about this bit of nature and just casually lean against the tree and cast plant growth. So massive bushes start expanding around it.
Cool. I'll happily allow that. It's gonna be noticed that it's you doing that. And so like basically the city guard and the woman there just like turn around. Well, now I need to speak to your manager, apparently. And just looks at you, and I think that's where we're gonna like smash cut for our mid-episode break. All of you having jumped out of this window, stolen this dragon shard, completely wrapped up, entangled, held in wooden fists. All these people just launched yourself out of this skyscraper, landed on the ground, created a little bit of plant growth, and now whisking yourselves away with a mission completed. Cool. Thank you so much. We're gonna take
Good work, team. Good work, team.
Good work, team.
Yeah,
Good
well done,
work.
team. We're going to take just like a quick 5-10 minute break, and then we will come straight back to see what the next mission is going to be. Cool.
Okay.
We'll see you super soon.
Amazing.
Bye.
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 into the second half of Eberron Terminus. So, the party have just completed a mission to get a dragon shard. Grace is lost just for the moment. The party's just completed a mission. You've got a Siberys Dragonshards. You've managed to avoid Dargamath and his various hench people, and so we're going to pick up with you at the headquarters of the line, the covert kind of special ops organisation that you all are a part of. Now this is in the middle ward of Sharn, so not quite as fanciful and elegant and wealthy as the upper ward, but still pretty nice. And basically there is this house that looks, if anything, it almost fractionally draws attention to itself and how actively it's trying to not draw attention to itself. It's not so nice that it's too conspicuous, but it's not rubbish enough that you wouldn't think it has security and such like. And you as members can easily just walk through the front door. You're very familiar with this house. Basically you can kind of hear like classical music very faintly from one place and some percussive music very faintly from another. Also, there's kind of beautiful tiled floors, and your various shoes and metal feet clack on them as you enter this place, which is filled with paraphernalia, filled with globes and maps and books piled up. It's incredibly messy, it's incredibly disorganized. Everything has a not kind of full steampunkish look, but it's all kind of greens and oranges and browns and beautiful metal detailing on staircases and things like that, and windows, some of them with stained glass, so light tends to stream in slight colours as you walk through. You know that the entrance to Johera's office is upstairs, so you head upstairs and you go through to this wardrobe, which is basically a walk-in wardrobe of very beautiful different clothing and such like. Who tends to, when you come here, because it's now someone's turn to basically just announce that they're here and activate a particular switch. You'd all know the location of it, but who do you think actually takes charge at this particular moment?
I think Rudy probably does.
I'm thinking Rudy.
You've been with the line the longest, so you know that there's a floor-to-ceiling mirror, and there's also like a kind of speaking tube near to it. So you just need to let Johera, your superior at the line, know that you're here.
Just speaking to, hey Jojo, we got the shard. You coming? We need to talk.
You don't hear anything back, but what happens, and this is, it still might feel a little bit weird to Aoife as the newest addition who's only been working with the line for like 6 months. But once you do that, there's like a small pause, and then you feel this kind of rumble around you, and you can hear almost like kind of large scale clockwork, and the room kind of shudders with motion, as it's a little bit strange at first because it's almost like the front is moving, but you realize you're moving round because there are clockwork elements of this building, and so your view from the wall in front of you slides into view of Johera's office. And you can see Johera, they have, like they're slightly femme, but they're a dwarf and have a very squared off silver beard and very short back and sides, a suit, that they're always dressed in a suit. Sometimes their sleeves are rolled up and you can see just like a little contraption with a dagger that would be able to shoot it into their hand whenever they need to. Sitting at kind of the antithesis of Dargamath's office, again very cluttered, very messy, a huge map of Khorvaire on the wall behind them. Above, there isn't any natural light in this room, but there is what's known as a skylight, and it's actually just a glass compartment that a light elemental lives in. So basically kind of lights the room from above. And Johera just sits as you kind of hove into view this entire section of the house moving to clunk into position. Well done. And just like kind of, you can't tell if it's reaching out for the shard or offering you seats.
I very carefully place the rug down on the floor and then pull the shard out from my pocket and throw it to Johera.
Can I say that while Mukt was doing that, I've taken taken their extended hand and shaking it profusely. Well, we weren't sure how everything fantastically well, so.
Johera is still shaking your hand and catches the dragon shards with the other hand whilst you're still shaking. Opens up a drawer in their desk and puts that in, and is still. Do you mind returning my hand to me, Ward?
Oh, of course. Forgive me.
Thank you.
Must have misinterpreted your actions.
No, that's quite all right. Do take a seat. Mints are available if necessary. Johera always has some mints on their desk because a lot of the time people are coming back from missions and have the taste of blood in their mouths. And Johera always makes sure to have mints on standby.
I am absolutely taking a mint. They are delicious. They're my favourite thing about coming to the city.
I'm going to cast Disguise Self on myself to look like Dogmouth, and I'm going to I'm going to say to Franz, the rug is good, but I say we go back for the dressing gown.
Nice. I will say, oh, don't worry, I have plans.
Excellent.
Well, as much as I hate to interrupt your, I don't think you can call it a shopping spree if you're not intending to pay. There are some pressing things happening. Though, firstly, can you give me a report on the mission? Any fatalities, any collateral damage, etc.? And he's looking at all of you.
Maybe a small foliage-based incident in the centre of town.
Could you please specify, and then I'll find whichever foliage-based incident form that I should fill out.
We gentrified the area. What's the problem?
Yeah, it's just a bit of environmental restoration.
Fulfilling our standard use as para gardeners, we just just came in and came out, and the job was done. I don't think it was all fine. Is anyone prepared to drop the euphemisms, para gardeners, gentrification? Oh, exactly what happened.
Rudy, while munching on mints, I'd like to say, are there like, I'm assuming there's chairs in front of the desk, but are there like bigger, comfy chairs off to the side of the office somewhere? Because she propped herself up on one of those.
Yeah, that's fair.
And just goes, that big bridge next to that building, it's got a tree on it now.
And a field.
A bit of that.
And any more, as much as I appreciate the clarity there, that big bridge next to that building, do you want me to count how many bridges there are in Sharn?
I'm just, me personally, I don't know the name of the bridge, but Rudy.
Yeah, that's fine. Rudy knows the name of the bridge.
Yeah.
I'm happy to go. Okay, and that's it in terms of tracks, trails, etc.
Everything seemed to have gone fantastically well. I mean, as you can see, we're all here, and you have the Dragon Shard. We didn't have to do very much damage other than to a up-floor window, but honestly, I would say that though I did it, I don't feel like I can take a huge amount of responsibility for having inflicted that damage. Dargamath is still with us, as is all of his various hench folk.
And I suppose, can Dargamath ID every single one of you?
Well, perhaps I've been hooked, but
No, that's fine. It's just we need to be aware of who we're sending on which missions and what information's out there. But he doesn't know of the existence of the line, right?
No, of course not.
Then the big line that we drew, on the floor saying "We'll be back," and no,
humor. I see. Yes.
I worked it out in the last couple of years. I'm still trying to work out when's the best time to use it.
I'm sure you'll figure it out.
Good
You're
news.
getting better, Ward.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Well, if that's all there is to go over there, there are some rather pressing matters. Are any of you still standing, or have you all kind of found some seats?
I think Eve is still standing because, again, she's a bit new and she's like, oh, it's a bit disrespectful to sit down.
How clear is that? I'm just going to roll insight. Are you trying to hide that at all?
Yeah, she's trying to look like she knows what she's doing, but she's also just like, I don't know whether to sit down or not. And just stand here and look honest.
Can you roll me performance on trying to look like you know what you're doing? Such a D&D thing.
8.
Okay. Johara looks at you and just goes, you can sit. You're as much a member as anyone else here.
I mean, okay. Sit down.
Okay. Yes, there is something rather urgent, and they stand up in front of the map and click their fingers, and it's like the map burns away in the middle to a fresh map underneath, and has basically zoomed in onto some areas. There's Shan, there's the lightning rail that leads up from it to Rote and further on, but you're seeing kind of, I think it's like southwest Breland right about now. I'm sure, well actually, which of you know Kane? One of our agents, Kane. Roll history, and we'll see if you've worked with Kane before, or if you know Kane.
18.
Oh, I definitely know Kane. That was 22. It was 19 on the dice.
Cool. Vic?
12.
Pav?
10.
Grace?
I get a +8 to history, so that's a 9.
I guess
Not where I thought that was going.
Yeah.
That makes sense. The newbies don't know.
Yeah, it makes sense that like the two longest serving members. So you know Kane, he is a half-orc who has worked with the line for quite some time, does a lot of solo missions, not necessarily because he like doesn't get on with other people, but just often has a bit more freedom and mobility and is trusted to basically go out and do stuff on his own. So Johara basically says, Mac, Rudy, obviously you've worked with Kane a little bit before. For the rest of you, Kane is one of our agents. He was tracking down one of the other Dragonshards that we're currently trying to locate. Apparently it was on a train called the Relentless. Now, Kane messaged us not actually that long ago, saying that the Dragonshard definitely was on that train. We think he was mentioning the Emerald Claw, that potentially they're involved, they might be present. However, the end of his message was, let's say, distorted, and we have not been able to contact him since. The Relentless was meant, and they're pointing at the map and you can kind of see little allusions like helping to demonstrate what they're saying. The Relentless was due to stop at Rote, but apparently, according to our sources, went straight through the station at breakneck speed. What we need to do is get some operatives onto that train and make sure that Kane is safe and figure out exactly what these people are planning to do with this Dragon Shard, and ideally, of course, stop them. Any questions?
At the station, Johara, what was anyone hurt? Is everyone okay? If it went through at breakneck speed?
No, apparently everyone was fine. People were on the platforms and such, like, and it caused a disturbance, but no actual threat to life as such.
Are there civilians on the train? Is it a passenger train?
No, apparently a cargo train. Kane didn't report of any civilians, though obviously we can only assume that he has partial intel on what's actually there.
How do we get a train that's going at breakneck speed?
Very good question, Aoife. What you do is you schedule an airship that can fly in a straight line and catch up with it. So, we do have some contacts. Ket Helmworth has an airship, the Blackjack. We've contacted her and made sure that we can get some passage for all of you. Now, it's not going to be from an official Lyrander port. Ket is an experienced pilot, but unfortunately not really in the good books of House Lyrander currently. So, what our plan is to get you on that airship, fly in a straight line so that we can overtake and catch up to the Relentless. Then you need to board that train, find that Dragon Shard, find Cain Thorn, and make sure you put a stop to whatever is happening on the board of the Relentless. Is that understood?
Yeah.
None of you
Got
have
it.
a problem with
definitely.
heights or anything, do you? I don't remember it in anyone's file.
No, we just all jumped out a window. We're fine.
Fantastic, so you've had practice. Wonderful. Let me just make sure that I'm not missing anything that I need to make sure you know. No,
Chloe,
obviously
do we-
it's... Yes?
Do we know? This is me talking to Chloe. Do
Yeah.
we know anything about the Emerald Claw? The Emerald Claw. Is that things that we would know about in character, or is that something that I could ask Johara about?
You can ask Johara, or I'm happy for anyone to make, I'd say with the Emerald Claw, a history, potentially a religion check. For
What
any
if I made a
information.
history check, Chloe? What if I made a history check, Chloe?
Go and make a history check. See if you roll higher than a 9.
I did roll higher than a 9. It's a 14. I'm going to change this dice.
With a history check, I think what you know is the Emerald Claw are a cult within Khorvaire. They are sometimes confused, or some people get them confused with a religion called the Blood of Vol, because members of the Emerald Claw often claim to actually adhere to that religion, but members of the Blood of Vol absolutely disavow Emerald Claw. With a 14, you probably only know that much because they obviously don't share loads of their information with people, but you know that it is a very passionate cult who, are sometimes confused for Blood of Vol.
Johara, is there any reason that you could know of that the Emerald Claw have particular interest in this Dragon Shard? Do we know anything about what they might be wanting to achieve with it? Or?
Currently, we don't personally have any intel on exactly what they might want to do with it. Obviously, we expect that it's in the construction of some form of eldritch machine, though exactly what, we don't know, and people are being incredibly creative in coming up with new ideas for such things on the day. So, unfortunately, we don't currently know. Lady Ilmarrow is not exactly one of our constant contacts. Lady Ilmarrow, I don't know, maybe Rudy and Mac would have heard of her. But basically, Lady Ilmarrow is the head of the Emerald Claw and also a lich.
Okay.
Ooh.
Cool.
I like
All right.
witches. I have a question about the train.
Go ahead, Aoife.
Where's it going?
That we don't quite know. The current lightning rail that it's on goes to various different locations. I mean, there are certain stopping points, turning points. Our biggest concern is that actually, if they were to follow it in a straight line, the train would just go straight towards the Mournlands. And obviously we don't expect anything good to be coming out of there currently.
Well, it sounds like a team of responsible people should maybe try and stop that from happening. Try
Precisely.
and keep some people safe.
Do we know anything about where this train came from or who owns it? Anything that might help us work out what we're gonna deal with once we get on there.
I mean, House Orion will own the train, but I don't know where it's come from.
Yes, we don't know anything about the makers or the construction of the train, unfortunately. Cain obviously was just operating on sendings and was getting out the essential information before he was interrupted.
What made him get on the train in the first place? How sure are we the Dragon Shard is there?
If Cain says it's on that train, then it's on that train. I trust him.
Do we know where his intel came from? Can we speak to them again?
No, unfortunately, Cain's always been very secretive about his sources. However,
I know that.
They are locking eyes with you right now in a kind of like, I've known you for a while, Rudy, you know me. I know that we can't say this about many people. I would trust Cain Thorne with my life. Therefore, I trust his sources, and I trust his intel.
Can I make an insight check on that, Chloe? Can I sort of try and work out if there are sort of layers to that? I'm going to do that because I think that Ward would be trying to work that out. Unfortunately, Ward is very self-involved, so it's not someone who's got a particularly high insight score.
Sure.
There's my good fucking roll. Jesus. So that was a 16 on the dice, which means that it's a 14, Chloe.
14.
Wow.
14 insight. From what you can tell, there aren't layers there. That is just Johara going, like, we are going to go off of this. It's also Johara kind of going, I'm not going to say do what I say, but I'm saying do what I say.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's kind of Johara's attitude in that. They sit down, having been up to demonstrate the map, and they click their fingers and it goes back to the map of Khorvaire as a total. Do you have any other questions? Otherwise, it might be wise to get you equipped.
Do we have a timeline on this? I mean, I was supposed to have a show tonight, and I don't know what, like...
I am very sorry to deprive you of your audience, Mukt, but unfortunately it looks like this will be an overnight trip just to get to the train.
Mook seems reluctant. It's fine. I mean, that's the job.
I mean, you're already up a rug on the day, so look at it that way.
It's a shame, Johara. We're hoping to be able to go home after this, but obviously we understand that needs are pressing.
Yes, I understand any disappointment, but obviously the threat to the safety and the life of one of our operatives, who had just confirmed the existence of a Siberys Dragonshard on that train, rather takes precedent. When do you think I was expecting to go home, Ward? And just stares at you.
I would never presume to make any such assumptions, Johara.
True.
You mentioned getting kitted out.
Yes, I believe Eric's has been working on various bits and pieces. I know that you've had some conversations with them about items or clothing or some such that you felt might assist you in your missions. Provided that there's no other information. Oh, wait, of course. In roughly half an hour or so, Ket will be able to give us a little bit of an update as soon as she's near. You need to go to the remains of the Black Fog. And you know that is a bar that was the head of one of the criminal guilds kind of operated out of there. And the remains, basically, it got blown up in some standard Shan subterfuge. And so now it's one of the few kind of relatively level areas on the edge of the city that doesn't have like a tower or building, but gives you at least a little bit of a platform, as kind of grubby and gritty as it is, to pick up this airship that's being sent for you. So, Johara says, make sure that you're there in half an hour, 40 minutes at most. We really don't have much time to spare on this.
Oh, if time's of the essence, 2 Erics, I suppose.
Okay. And Johara just kind of like gestures, because you have to basically go back into the weird walk-in wardrobe that is now half of Johara's office. And you just see Johara like press a button underneath their desk, and you start just going off to the side, the whole room just kind of shaking and rumbling and going across, and then you are back in the body of the house, and you know that you have to go to the library in order to get to Eric's. If anyone wants to check in with any other characters or something, you've got like a couple of minutes of just like walking through this house to get to Eric's workshop.
I want to look at Mac and say, Mac, how long do you think they're going to leave that window broken for?
Probably not long enough, is what I would say. I think if we were able to go immediately back, not a problem, but with the mission in hand, I reckon they'll have it fixed by then.
Fair enough.
I mean, obviously we have, much greater priorities at the moment. There are things that are much more important, as I'm sure you realize, to what we're all trying to do than your shopping habits.
No, I agree totally. I agree. I'm with Ward. I'm with you, 100%.
Right.
Very
Ward,
important mission.
You would look so good in that dressing gown.
I mean, you're not wrong, but I think I will keep the more formal coat, and is less likely to catch fire by covering all of the various ports. It's not going to work so well without that special tailoring.
If they don't
True.
chop it down, that tree might grow fast enough to, by the time we come back, be about window height.
Mm-hmm.
Like how you think, Ethan.
That's quite a climb.
So you're chatting about this as you walk into the library. It's up to you which person uses the code word, because you know that once you're in the library, you kind of can all see it because you know it's there. It's very much for anyone who's never been in the house before, who's not a member of the line. You can see that there's a weird sheen to the floor, that the floor itself is something illusory. But to actually trigger the entrance into Eric's hidden workshop, one of you needs to say the code word that Eric's programmed, which is, "I'm one day away from retirement." Who wants to say it?
I feel like we all look at Rudy.
Hey guys, no way I'm one day from retirement yet.
You said I'm one day away from retirement in the middle of that sentence, and the floor burns away and you are on a see-through floating disc, which is the actual floor, and you just lower down into a basement, which is a horseshoe shape. You can now hear much louder that percussive music. There is a kind of marble-like machine that Eric's has created that just creates constant music in the corner for them to think to and work to. Along the horseshoe, there are shelves and shelves and shelves of items, of scrap, of things that are half made, of experiments, of books, of scrolls, etc. And a ladder that kind of like is on casters around the entirety of that horseshoe. And in the center of the horseshoe, you can see Eric's. Eric's is a Kalashtar, so same race as Aoife. Doesn't have kind of like the greyish tone to their skin, but is quite wiry. Has I'm gonna go very stereotypical with it. Has like two small lensed glasses perched on their nose, a very short wild crop of black hair, and has a lot of like a leather apron and various bits and pieces and tools, and you can see a contraption on their arm as well that seems to just, when they clench down, it delivers the next like empty vial up to their hand. And Eric's is the resident mage right, basically, of the line, so creates all the different bits and pieces. And you can kind of smell like all the things in this room, like the faint burn of past experiments and the fragrances from various potions and ingredients, and all that kind of stuff. Vic, you had your hand up.
Yes, item check, because it will affect how Aoife reacts to them. Do they share a spirit ancestor?
Eric's does not share a spirit ancestor with you, no. Doesn't have the same quarry spirit.
I pull something dangerous and half-made off the wall and say, "What does this do?"
Oh,
I'm looking for a trigger.
you look at this item and such like, oh, I'm actually rather proud of that. Sorry, I think you're going to be rather it's the red button. And you can see like this huge gnarled thing. Do you press the red button?
Oh yeah.
A lemon sherbet falls out of one end. It's the equivalent of a massive Pez dispenser. Though, perhaps don't touch everything. Some things are a bit more dangerous.
Okay.
Rudy goes over to Eric's and kind of slaps them on the back, probably a little too hard.
Rudy.
Eric, how's it going, pal?
Good.
I hear you've been working on some stuff for us. You got my cigar?
Yes, I have. Just one moment. And yes, please don't touch anything. Okay, fantastic, wonderful. And Eric's just like hops onto the ladder, kind of kicks off and like swings to exactly the point on the shelves that they need to be, grabs something off of that and then pushes and swings back. Right, so, well, very important thing, obviously, cigars, this is the end that needs to go in your mouth. Won't really work if you do it the other way around. Yes, how it's all made. But it's safe enough, so passes you this cigar. So that's Fog Cloud and Misty Step. The Misty Step you can
got
either
them both in there?
Well, Misty Step you can either do two Fog Clouds or one Misty Step. Sorry, that's as much as I was able to. It's rather compact, so.
Buddy, you are a goddamn genius.
Thank you, Rudy, and tries to give you the same like confident slap on the back. I'm just gonna roll to see like how well
whether Rudy even notices.
Yeah, it's a 5, so it's almost like an awkward kind of like.
I mean, like Rudy just kind of like snorts, like doesn't say anything, just like yeah.
I'm liking the Sharpie cigar as well.
Yeah.
Yes, obviously you're all here for your various bits and pieces. So let me yes, and again starts kind of basically very almost like balletically, just starts getting on this ladder, kicking around and picking a few bits and pieces up, putting them in the pocket at the front of their apron and swinging back. Meanwhile, like there are still various things in this room that are just like smoking and such like. And oh, Aoife, you have ridiculous passive perception, don't you? So something you're probably aware of, and you're probably aware of every time you come into Eric's like workshop, is the very faint snarls from the small chest-like mimic that Eric's has, like in isolation in part of their workshop, for just trying to figure out weapons. I'm
going to say that Aoife has brought down a little kind of bit of food for the mimic. I'm just going to chuck it over.
So you're like sliding it across the floor?
Yeah.
Ah. Cool. The mimic
they're
just
like like pets.
Yeah, this little chest just kind of suddenly and absolutely grabs that food.
I was gonna say that I kind of feel like as Eric's is sort of picking things out and stuff, Aoife is sort of like talking to him telepathically.
Yes. Just
sort of chatting to him, and it kind of like talking to them telepathically because being with them is sort of the nearest thing to like being at home.
Yeah, of course.
Like this is kind of how in Khorvaire, this is how they used to communicate with people. So,
is there anything particular that they always chat about whenever Aoife comes down to the workshop?
I think it's like talking about all the ridiculous things that they got up to on the mission. So like, and then Muck stole a rug. I didn't even think it was that pretty, to be honest, but apparently he really liked it. And there's been talks about going, and it's just sort of like, like updates of like quite generic things.
Yeah, I think what you get is, I'll come to you in just a sec, Grace.
No, they for Mucked.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, apologies, yes.
Thank you. Eric's gets quite easily distracted, and so what you get is kind of things like, oh, a tree, yes, a hole, yes, yes, oh great, force crossbow, yes, and just kind of a little mesh, because even though Eric's is used to, as a Kalashtar, talking telepathically, they will still like kind of let their thoughts drift even whilst talking to you, and they know that you're used to that from them as well. So Eric's comes to their work table, which is basically kind of adapted, so there's different drills and saws and stuff all in there, but there's also like a long work table space, and put some things down. There is what looks like quite a normalish crossbow, but there's certain kind of like bits of metal wiring and a small like glowing vial on one side. There is just a large cardboard box, the kind that you'd have folded up clothes in. There is also a wand. Well, it looks a bit like a quill, but those of you, like, Ward has a very high passive investigation, so you're probably like, that quill doesn't look like it's just a quill. And additionally, there's something that looks almost like a mechanical camera aperture, and kind of Eric's lays these all down. I can't quite remember who was who, or who was what, or what was for who.
My name's Mucht.
Yeah. Oh no, I remember that you're Mucht. But which of the sorry, it all gets a little bit confused.
I take my cardboard box into the corner, and then what I'd like to do is cast Mage Hand and see if it can lift up the rug if the rug is still touching the floor, so it's not lifting it off the floor.
Okay, Mage Hand, I think it's like it's only a few pounds.
10 pounds.
10 pounds.
10
Okay.
pounds. So it'll be able to like pick up a corner, but it won't get that far.
In which case, I point at Rudy and I said, Rudy, could you give me a hand? And just ask you to like hold up the rug, possibly.
Yeah.
Like holding up to the side, like what are you doing?
What you see is Mucht take off all her clothes and then open the box. And then,
I get it.
Yeah.
They've changed. Whilst Mucht is doing that, we've still got a crossbow, kind of aperture-like thing, and a quill.
Is there any kind of like, because this is somewhere where they test out the things that they make, is there anywhere like a standing dummy or something like that, or you know, or a target or something like that?
Yes. Basically, there is it's like a dartboard, and there is a face on it. If you've ever asked, it's the face of Eric's elder brother, because there's some serious sibling rivalry going on there.
Nice.
But yes, on the, like, basically if you were to stand at the far end of the horseshoe, the wall near where you came in, there is a little kind of tester for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You need everyone else to move out of the way.
Yeah. Well, I'll pick up the crossbow and I'll kind of be like, would everyone mind just stepping to the left a little bit? And I just want to try it out to see how it works.
Cool. Feel free to describe how it is, because this is a specific item that you requested from Eric.
Okay. So, as I pick it up, it actually, the thing on the side glows a little bit, and it fills the chamber with a bolt that kind of is there but isn't there at the same time. And then I put it, and even though it looks like firing a normal crossbow, there's probably a really cool blue tinge to the thing that comes out of it, and it looks like it maybe just does probably takes out the middle of the brother's space a little bit, whereas you might have expected this thing just to stick in and be be in there, but actually it kind of just obliterates a little bit of his space, and then there's no bolts sticking out of it when it goes there.
Yeah.
Look at it. This is cool. Thank you.
It is cool.
Fantastic. Glad you. Yes. So only two left. Ward, Eva.
I think the wand is mine. I think I'll the quill. If I it
Yes.
looks like that looks like, we were talking about something that make it a bit easier for me to tell whether something was magical. Does that?
Yes. It looks like a quill, but it's actually a wand. If you take it in your hand, it will be able to detect basically magic and such like, and help you identify that kind of thing.
Fantastic.
Yes.
I mean, how will I tell whether it's working? Will it sort of catch on fire, or blow in the wind, or poke me in the eye? What's it going to?
I apologies if I got a little bit too excited by the theming here. I was just kind of playing around. It will write it in the air. Bit of a gold glow to it. But yes, it'll take your hand to write what you need to know.
That's Eric's your as Rudy said, ever a genius.
And Eric's is gonna try again, doing what is apparently like the symbol of we're pals. It's slowly going up. It's gone up from a 5 to a 7. So Eric's is slowly getting better at this, but I'm delighted you approve. Fantastic. So therefore, Aoife.
Yes, I think this is mine.
And it's a mechanical. It looks, while it's constricted, as it were, like a camera aperture. But when you pull it, those kind of toys that you had when you were little that would like expand into spheres. You can just pull on it, and it will do that, and it expands outwards into a circle, and you can see that there is an interdimensional space there, and it is a portable hole.
I drop it over Ward's head.
You're now like wearing it like a kind of ruff, as it were, and your head is in that extra dimensional space. I think you have like 10 minutes of breathing.
Perfect. What does everyone else see? Does like just my head stop existing up to here?
I'm gonna say yeah.
Right. I mean, well, it's very dark in here, and I can imagine you can hear it like echoing. Like echo. Eva, I'm not sure how I feel about this. I don't have to breathe, but I feel like maybe don't do that to anyone else.
Well, I mean, unless we've got an interest in them not breathing anymore.
Right. Well, perhaps definitely just do that to me, and I put it back over my head.
At this point, Rudy, you might notice that like there seems to be kind of like some like fog or like smoke like emerging from behind the rug. And
I just assume it's the cigar.
Yeah, that's fair. You totally. And then I kind of like slowly move to one side, and then you just see like this like fog like slightly part in front of my face, like it's like a bad like 80s music video. And like you just like, and I'm just like looking through, and slowly like my tuxedo is revealed, and it's just like a really well cut tuxedo, but I've just got this like kind of haze around me. I say, Eric, I love you. I'm just gonna walk over and go for a big high five, and I'm hoping that they roll well.
Sure. I'll roll on them also. Like, been good with high fives. Oh, it's a 4.
I tried to help you.
Eric's just kind of, you hold your hand up, and they just go, yes, do you have a question?
No, I'm good, thank you, Eric.
Good.
Behind Mucht, Rudy is holding the rug still, just, like trying to signal to Eric's, just like.
I mean, I'll roll insight on that. Oh, actually, that's not terrible. Okay, that's a 17. So, is Mook's hand still up? Is their hand still there?
I think it's like going down, which I don't know if that, from a height perspective, maybe that's
Just,
still, yeah.
Like desperately quickly realizing that they need to do it before your hand goes down.
My heart!
I think with the help from Rudy, like Eric's just like comes in and quickly like slaps your hand as it's moving down. Yes.
Yeah. Good job.
Good. I was glad. Tailoring is a new challenge. But yes,
Very good.
100% glamour weave. So we'll be able to help you with all of those things and flourishes and such that I know you like.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And it's stab proof and fireproof too, right? And I prod it.
With what?
Well, I wasn't totally aware of that, and it would have required me to put in some armoring layers, and Mook was rather specific about it being precisely tailored and such like and form fitting.
You can
Eric's-
say tight.
I'm just joshing with it. Don't worry about it. Okay.
Yeah, fantastic. Good. Yes. So
This whole really is very good. That's what I'm really enjoying the whole.
Oh, sorry. I'll take it back off.
Well, yes. I hope that they come in use. Obviously, I've heard from Jahara about the situation. So yes, hopefully, if you need to do anything, that there'll be. Oh, just a word on a couple of them. Yes, obviously not stab proof, not fireproof. Says to Mux. Aoife, you won't be able to kind of create a passage through anything, but you can still holes. And I believe it's about 10 minutes of breathing if anyone does get stuck in there. So just be aware of that. Oh, Mac, I wasn't able to get it so it just continually shot. It will sometimes still do a little bit of reloading. Rudy, just the right way round is the prime thing, really. But yes, you're well versed with cigars. And Ward, yes, it will. I haven't been able to figure out how to not make it right, so it will always do. It might be a bit conspicuous unless you hold some paper and pretend you're writing, I suppose.
I'm sure I could find a way to do that. I rather like the sparkler effect, though. Yeah, well.
True. Always. I mean, you're the special agents, not me. So, right. I
I said,
believe.
Eric's, you're a special agent. What do you mean? You're one of us.
Well, I don't go out in the field.
We wouldn't be
Would you
half
like
so
to?
special without it.
Yeah.
Oh well. Thank you. And no, I wouldn't like to. Quite happy here.
Are you working on anything particularly exciting? Anything you're particularly proud of, Eric? You always have something sparkly.
Oh, well, there's okay. Well, since you're indulging, I'll show you. But then, I presume time must be ticking for you. And Eric jumps on, swings round, gets this clean black box, like no markings on the outside. Jumps down, comes back. Yes. Now, this finding it quite fun. Would. Right, okay, so Aoife, you take this, takes out what looks to be kind of similar to a sending stone in their pocket. You'd all recognise this, it's quite common in terms of magical stuff. Passes it to Aoife. Would you just say a message or some such?
Hello, Eric.
Ah, perfect, right on the nose. And then Eric's presses their palm against the top of this box that seemingly has like no lid, no joins, and this just flips back up, and then with illusion magic it creates like a little platform on which you see a miniature Aoife saying that very message. Yeah, in exactly that way. So I haven't yet figured out the precise applications, but I'm quite excited.
That's wonderful.
Yes. Still got to work on it though, so you know.
Yeah, so, I say to Eric's, Eric's, how long a recording could you do? Like, for example, a song?
Currently, I'm only working with standard 24 words. So, is it a long song?
I can write a short song.
I'll talk to you about those. Yes, your entertainment bits and bobs later. So, well, you know what? Why don't you keep that, Aoife? I can still work on the bits and pieces here. You have a hold of that. Right.
Wonderful.
I should probably get back.
Yeah.
Yes. Nothing else you need.
We've got an airship to catch, friends. I do believe.
Yes.
Places to
I
be.
have a feeling we might want to leave a rug with you.
Yes, I was also thinking that. I was wondering if there's anything that you would like to do with the rug. For example,
cool.
Make it able to elevate itself. It could be useful. I don't know. I'm not making any suggestions. Your domain is your domain. My domain is my domain. I'm just saying I'm rolling a persuasion roll.
roll persuasion.
I mean, the way that you were sort of flying with it, after I cast Beneful was quite impressive. I would love to see that. Eric, do you think there'd be any way?
That is a 27.
I was going to say you can have advantage from Ward, backing you up there, but you've already rolled 27. So able to elevate. I suppose that could be quite. I understand what you mean now. Yes. Okay, absolutely, fantastic. I'll have a little work on that, and then I'll see you all. Yes, I'll see you all soon. Those of you who has a high passive insight. Weirdly.
Terrible.
12.
Everyone have awful insight.
Of 9 passive.
Aoife has a 15.
8.
You catch a little tone in Eric's voice. Because they can't be fully confident that you're all going to get back. They never can be when you're going out on missions.
Interesting.
I will speak telepathically to them and just say, I'm going to keep them safe.
You get a voice back going, well, yes, quite. That's why you've got the stone. Okay. Are you going to head to the ruins of the pub? Cool.
Yes.
You've got all your stuff on you. It's a very short walk through Sharn, because you're still just going to the middle ward. But is there any conversations, because you're about to meet Ket Helmworth and anyone else who is the crew of this ship? Are there any conversations you want to have? You won't be in total privacy because you're walking through Sharn, there's kind of market districts, you're seeing other people. It's kind of dusk, so some of the lanterns, the ever-bright lanterns, are starting to light. You're passing through various people, but in terms of not definitely having a crew member around you, are there any conversations you want to have?
I wanted to talk to Rudy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go next to Rudy and just say, the tracks this train's on, I know we don't know exactly where they're going, but if they are heading to the Mournlands, it's our duty to make sure that that train is destroyed before it ever reached that point, even if we're on it.
I agree. I mean, that's why we're all part of this organization, so yeah. That dragon shard does not get to the Mournlands.
That was all I wanted to say.
Sure.
I just want to use my glamour weave to make it rain just on me, and then look at everyone and be like, "This weather, man."
I would have druidcraft an actual little cloud to actually rain on them.
Nice. I'm glad you clarified what kind of rain, by the way, because when you said make it rain on me, I was like, Glamour Weave can't just make money up here.
No.
Are there any other little conversations or check-ins you want to do on your way to these ruins? No.
I think just Rudy's grabbed this. Not Rudy. Sidekick has grabbed a stick and it just like brings it over. And
Yeah.
I think Rudy chucks it a couple of times, but is then like, I can't be bothered anymore. So Sidekick starts bothering everybody else, basically.
I'm gonna start druid crafting sticks out of my hand and just throwing them.
Like he goes crazy. He's like, he goes and comes back with like 4 sticks in his hand.
Cool. So you're walking through the streets of Shan, kind of over different bridges, twirling up staircases and such, like banking over different roads that arch between all of these towers. And as the sun starts to set, you come across the ruins of this very recent ruins of this pub. And can everyone roll me a perception check?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I got 17.
15.
6.
I got 1 for me, and sorry, 2 for me, and 1 for Sidekick.
Right.
Well, Sidekick's like so busy with
Oh,
playing
yeah,
fetch.
actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. And Grace?
8.
Cool. So Mukt, you're the first to notice. So it's you don't see it at first. It's more that you feel the slightly colder air on your skin. You feel just like a very, very faint gust that starts to get a little bit stronger, and then you realise that banking round, because you're kind of surrounded by different towers. You're at the edge of the city, looking out towards the mountains, basically now. But so it's kind of coming from the cover of the towers and such like that are beside you. There is this ship, which is around the size of like a keel boat with with 3 decks. So kind of modest, a little bit small, painted in a British racing green kind of colour, but like the gold filigree on it is chipped and the paint is chipped, probably with a perception of around 17. You'd notice that the figurehead is missing a foot. There's various different like shows of wear and tear over it, and you will have all seen an airship at some point, especially living in Shan, and so you'll be familiar with the fact that around the midsection of the ship is a huge ring that is of this air elemental who is trapped and bound to the ship, and there's kind of struts that go out to meet this ring at various points to keep it in that position to allow the ship to fly, and it's that kind of different quality of air that hits you, and then hits Aoife and then starts hitting everyone else as you see this ship, and you can see painted on it the blackjack as it banks round and starts to kind of move into position. So it's almost like when you're getting a helicopter ride, like you're getting kind of the air blasting back against your hair and such. Like there's a individual, I mean you've heard Ket referred to as her by Jahara, and you presume this is Ket. It's definitely the first person who's coming to meet you, stood on the deck of the ship, half elf with 3 long braids of blonde hair down to her waist, and a lot of very practical clothing, basically like slightly baggy trousers and kind of a vest top, that kind of thing. Big like various belts with various different things all hanging off them, so the silhouette just kind of like out with all of these objects, and is holding like a large kind of wooden gangplank. And she, as the ship kind of gets into position, she starts, "Hi, just one of you want to get the other end of this?"
Yes, I'll take it.
Cool. What's Aoife's strength?
10.
10. Don't worry, that was like the minimum barrier. It's not heavy, but it's just like maneuvering all of this and carrying that weight while it's moving. Cool, you managed to put that down and the ship just lowers. Right, I assume you're the people I'm here for. Would be pretty bad if you weren't, so...
I think we are. It looks like your ship's...
If we said that,
Go on, sorry.
Go ahead,
Sorry, I
Pav,
think
if you want to finish what you're saying, and we'll go on to Grace.
Cool. Okay. I say, yeah, I think we are. Looks like your ship's seen better days. Is it all right to fly?
Look, I know it's not as fancy as something you might be used to, obviously, like gestures at your tuxedo. I know it's not some, like, big cruise liner or something, but it's gonna be fine. Trust me.
I am not convinced.
Do you want me to, like, roll persuasion?
I just...
Grace, did you have something...
I think it was just an internet blip, don't worry. But as long as it can fly very fast in a straight line, we should be okay. I don't imagine that we're going to have to do too much in the way of evasive maneuvers. But straight line, and I'm sure it can manage that.
Oh yeah, well, I'd be a pretty poor pilot if I couldn't manage a straight line, so I'm sure I'll be up to the job.
I mean,
well, it can be difficult sometimes going straight.
We've always got Featherfall if it goes wrong.
Kat just kind of, at the moment, actually, she's wearing like a long coat, and she just opens the coat up. It's like a long duster. She opens it out and reveals a dragon mark, something you'd all be familiar with, and it's a mark of storm, which is something that is synonymous with House Lyranda. It's synonymous with people being able to pilot ships like this. Normally, if you don't have this dragon mark, piloting something like this is really difficult. It's just like, I've got this. Come on.
Okay, cool.
Very
Yeah.
So you all getting onto the ship?
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
I go up first and I shake her hand as I go up and I say, "Don't worry. We trust you. We know you'll get us onto the train."
Okay, good. All I want to know is that you know I can do my job, so...
Yeah. You'll do great. Don't worry.
I mean, I know I am great. Okay. And, like, looks to the rest of you. So, my name's Kit Helmworth. I'm the captain. Your names? I mean, I've been told, but I need to match names to faces.
As Rudy gets on the ship, just, like, puts her hand out to shake. Rudy Rakita, nice to meet you.
Rudy, nice name. And what's the little one? Pointing at sidekick.
That's sidekick.
That's the name of...
yeah.
Right, got
He'll
it.
be your best friend if you let him. He kind of comes and sniffs at your knees.
Kat definitely, like, kneels down and, like, goes to automatically ruffle, but obviously there's no fur.
Yeah, no, it's like a smooth
So
thing.
kind of does like an awkward, great, yep.
Like if you scratch the kind of hard surface of his head, like he still reacts like a normal dog.
Oh, okay, cool. So I assume...
I'm Mac. Sorry.
Okay, and I assume
And
as
this
Chloe, I
is
assume
Falchion.
Falchion's come on with you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, he won't play fetch. Sorry.
Noted. Okay. And how's about the rest of you?
Well, I'm Ward. A pleasure to meet you, Kat. It's been a couple of years since I was on an airship, but I'm sure I'll get my air legs back fairly soon.
Air legs, I like it. I like you. You're a nice one. Okay.
Right.
How about you, tuxedo person?
So Mook takes out a piece of paper and perfumes it slightly and then places it on a seat, sits down and crosses his leg and says, "I'm Franz."
Cool. And just to check, since it's Franz, are we using he, him pronouns for the time being? Cool. Right. Franz. I mean, we'll be able to get you there in a straight line, but I don't know if we'll be quite up to your standards.
He says, "Don't worry, I have had many times practicing with the common folk."
Didn't say there was anything common about me, but okay. Right, and how about you? Looking at Eva.
Oh, I'm Eva Tari. I've never been on an airship before, but I have climbed lots of trees.
Right, and as they say, climbing a tree is basically like being on an airship.
Well, it's basically it's wood and it's very high up.
I guess that's true. Actually, yeah. Okay. Well, so if you see anyone else around, there's Holden, the human fella, and there's Liz, the human lady, and so they're just. Doesn't take many of us to keep this thing running, but I think they're on the lower decks right now. So, right, let's get going then, and starts pulling the gangplank back in. Right, so I've been told it's basically going to be an overnighter. We've got some hammocks and stuff on the lower deck. Beneath that's cargo. You don't need to worry about that. You make yourselves comfortable, and we've got some food and stuff, but I'll just get to driving you where you need to be.
Much appreciated, Kit.
Yeah, if you see the others, ask them for food and stuff, and Kat just walks over to basically what is like a ship's wheel, but in the center of it, you can see from afar, it has the sheen of a dragon shard right in the center of it, which is the dragon shard linked to the elemental that's attached to the ship. And you start kind of arcing through. What you're doing initially is cutting through mountains, so the ship is kind of definitely moving quite swiftly away from Shan, and starting to go in between the mountains that are further inland. So you can grab some food, you can get some rest, you can have some chats to each other, check in on what you want to do with this mission, and there's Liz and Holden. Sorry to say that in a my own accent. Are the other two people who are on the ship.
Well, perhaps you. It's been quite an intense day. Should you all think about food first? Sort of keep those bodies fueled.
I think that's a good idea.
Very normal way to phrase that.
Yeah.
Well, yes. Well, I will watch, I suppose.
War, please don't watch me eat.
I mean, I can. If it
I
would
like
make
company, but watching is kind of weird.
If it would make you more comfortable, I could turn my back and watch the wall while you all eat and then return. But
Have you tried eating before?
Yes, once. Someone convinced me it was worth a go. Some of the things that came out magically following it, I don't really want to repeat. I think perhaps,
I understand that.
let's leave the eating for me, thank you. I think if it seems frightfully wasteful anyway,
Perhaps you could use your new hole while
it's
we
not
eat.
my hole,
Well.
it's Eva's hole. Yeah, I would hate to appropriate her.
No, by all means, finish that thought.
Yeah, finish the sentence.
I'm just going to leave that one.
Ward, I know you write the stories in your book.
Yeah.
Has an airship ever appeared in one of those stories? This might be an excellent time for that.
Yes, of course. I think, well, honestly, tonight I think it would be quite busy. I want to do an illustration of me flying out the window with the sort of the sparkles of the glass and that, because I think that would be rather exciting.
Yes.
On the matter, actually, Mork, I know you can send messages and things if you're not too tapped out. This evening, would it be okay if you could send a message to someone for me? I sort of did imply that I was going to be returning home today, and I won't be. It's not the end of the world if you can't, but I would frightfully appreciate it.
Of course, Warren. I can do that.
Thank you. I will not watch as you eat. And I go off to find a hammock to sit in.
Rudy tries to be like, no, you can be there, you just don't.
Also, Ward heads down to the middle deck. Basically, like food and sleeping, kind of galley general stuff is all on that deck. So you can be at one end where there are some hammocks just slung up from the ceiling, and you can. I don't know how awkward it is for Ward to get in a hammock. But
I think I was like, they probably slept in a hammock when they served, and I was like, wait, they're a wolf, like they wouldn't have. So I guess they're probably like, would you like me to make a dexterity check of some variety?
I think a dexterity check, just because like one of your arms is a blade. And
one of my arms is not always a blade.
Okay, it's not always a blade.
The blade can't emerge because otherwise I'm just going to cut.
Yeah, that's why I was worried.
Yeah,
give me a dex check.
Just straight dex?
Yes.
That's not bad. That's a 16.
It's
one of my first good rolls of the day.
Saving it for them important hammock rolls. You're able to do that. Like the ship, obviously, it's kind of a bit eerie for anyone who's only been on a boat rather than an airship, because you're moving, but there's no like listing side to side. There's no waves or anything. It's just completely smooth throughout the air. So that probably helps you in terms of getting onto that. And everyone, if you're looking for food, you just head down to the middle deck, which again, one end there are various hammocks kind of slung up. Some people have obviously like put sheets and cloths to kind of create like a bit of a privacy or like their own space. And towards one side there's various slightly chipped, a bit splintery, like chests and crates that have been made into a rough kind of area to sit and eat at. And there's various bags and bits and pieces, jars and such like of foods that are displayed. There isn't anything that clarifies like what you should and shouldn't eat or what you are and aren't entitled to. Nothing is currently clear on that.
Are Holden or Liz down there? Where are they?
You can hear more sounds from below, and actually as you start to come down the stairs, you see a female woman, so presumably Liz, with just like a kind of shoulder length shock of ginger hair, and again relatively practical clothing. There's nothing that fancy or showy about the stuff that everyone on this ship is wearing, but also like an arm full of tattoos, like a full sleeve of them. She's coming up the stairs and just goes, Oh, of course. Of course you're on board, because we've left Sean. Yes, hi.
You must be Liz, right?
Yes. Hi, Liz.
Well, nice to meet you. Thanks for having us. You got anything to eat around here?
Yes, of course, over here. And
kind of eyeing up all of the stuff that I can clearly see.
Yeah. Walks over and starts kind of getting out some plates, opening up jars, and what you're seeing is like a really weird eclectic mix of things. There's like jellied eels, and there's pickles, and there's bread, and there's salted meats, and there's like a kind of bottle of this ketchup like stuff that is just being poured out onto a plate as well, and bits and pieces. Aoife, you have an absurdly high passive perception, don't you? Right. When you first see Liz, you know that something's not quite right. Something's slightly off, and as you kind of focus in more on perceiving and on looking at Liz isn't a human. Liz is a changeling who is clearly presenting as a human right now. You do what you want with that information. So far, Liz has just been referred to as a human, and Liz is currently making you dinner. But you realise that, and you probably also clock that no one else seems to have shifted how their attitude is or how they're acting. And Liz is just putting things out.
Is there a way to tell whether Ket is aware? Like if Ket's around, or is it, or like
you can
basically what I want to.
You can go and talk to
find
Ket.
out, like a changeling being in, we've got one in the party. It's not that much of a big deal. But if they're there, like, and no one knows, and it's like a big secret, like, I'm not necessarily going to like reveal that if they don't want me to. But is it like suspicious, or is it just like the changelings?
It's probably a little bit weird that Ket didn't say that, but you don't know. You wouldn't be able to know if that's Ket, say, respecting Liz's wishes not to be referred to as a changeling, or not to be identified as such to all of you, or whether that's because Ket is unaware. And also, for the sake of ease, so we're all aware, if we're referring to Liz as a changeling, we'll use they them pronouns. If we're referring to human Liz, she her. So it's guesswork unless you talk to Ket.
Okay, I think I'm just gonna leave it for the time being, because I've got no reason to be suspicious of changelings. Like, they're just changelings, aren't they? And if she starts acting weird, then I'll be keeping an eye on her.
Sure.
Yeah.
Can I just skip down past Liz and Rudy and get up in them jelly deals?
Yes, you can absolutely get up in them jelly deals.
That's what I'm doing.
For anyone who's watching this on, like, who's American and watching this maybe or something, jelly deals is a real English thing. I don't know how much it translates into, like, other countries, but it's what it sounds
fairly
like.
literal.
Well, it doesn't.
Yeah. It's what it
I feel
sounds
like
like.
it's not even just like an English thing. It's like a Cockney thing, isn't it? It's a specifically like it's
True.
quite an East London thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like
Yes, sorry. I'm saying it's an English thing because Cockney family. So I just go, oh, it's just a thing. Yeah, you're there with some jellied eels. Liz is kind of just throwing out plates. It's all very much just take what you want. There's some things that she's not touching that are obviously a bit more like, this is for us. You don't get all of our food. Ward, are you, because obviously you don't sleep, are you just facing away? Are you lying down? Are you just watching from the other end of the deck?
I think they started off sort of sitting in the hammock, just very still, and then sort of noticed that if they move their body, it swings a little bit, and just sort of.
That's adorable.
That's so cute.
And just sort of swinging backwards and forwards in it, and having quite a good time. They look a little bit like they're trying to distract themselves. They won't have been on an airship, assumedly, since the last war. So that is the mental association that they have with it, and just sort of like, right, and I'm going to swing on this hammock and then my friends will eat some eels. And yes, good.
Cool. Yeah, that food's just being placed out for you so you can help yourself. And Liz also sits down next to all of you.
I sit down and watch Rudy eat.
Rudy
really
takes a few bites of some bread and maybe some eels, and then just looks over at Mac. God damn you.
With Rudy's permission, Aoife is sharing her food with Psychic.
I mean, Psychic doesn't eat well. I guess based on a familiar mechanically, yes, Psychic can eat. Yeah.
Food is fuel.
And it's like, it doesn't actually do him any good. He doesn't need to, but he will, and he's very grateful for it.
Imagining like a robotic tail, just like boom, 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 boom on the deck of the ship.
I feel like Aoife has also tried to feed Falchion at some point, and it didn't go well.
Yeah. I think based on his programming, he may not even really understand what's happening there. Yeah.
No option.
I think not Aoife. Liz sees Falchion, kind of like clocks Falchion. So you're one of those artificery types?
I am, yeah. Yeah, this is something that I learned to create as part of my training, and it's based on a real pet that I used to have when I was a boy.
Oh, impressive and homely. Yeah, and I assume, and like Swivels to Mukt, you look like a performer type, and Swivels to Aoife, naturey, I guess.
They're called druids.
Druids, right? Yes.
This is yes, I sing amongst other things. Yes.
Oh, see. So are you? Sorry, I don't know if it's like a rude question to ask adventure-y types. Are you a bard, or is the singing a different thing?
That's okay. I am a bard. Yes.
Oh, great. And sorry, going over to Rudy. Sorry. And what do you? Well, I guess do.
Mostly I hit things.
I nod.
Right. Okay. Sorry, I don't.
How long have you been with this?
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been with this crew?
Oh, about 18 months, I guess. Yeah, it's nice enough. Keeps me busy. So.
You must have traveled a lot in that time.
Yes. Well, mainly Breland, kind of in and out of Shan. Vic, what was your passive insight again?
Passive insight is... Oh, sorry, I flipped off the D&D on screen. Passive insight is 15.
Yeah, that definitely fails. Liz does not seem like someone who's wholly truthful. Was very much genuine, like asking about the things that you do and who you are, but definitely not being honest in terms of having been with the ship that long and where they've travelled. Sorry, your hand was behind like the symbol of your name, Grace.
I was thinking, I was like, ooh, I'll try and keep it out of frame, and then I realised you probably couldn't see it if it's in frame. I know I'm Grace and Ward is Ward, but
yes.
Could I make an insight check on whether it, as someone who has been operating as a special agent for a little while, whether it was suspicious that we would get onto a ship and someone would be like, so what do you all do? What are all of the abilities that you have? Whether that's something that I would just be like, oh yes, wow, she's really friendly. Or whether, like, because this is Ward, not me, like if it was me playing another character, I'd be like, wow, that's suspicious. But Ward's a dumbass.
I'm happy for you to roll insight in terms of, is this suspicious for someone to go, what do you do?
It's a 9.
It's a 9. Even with the 9, right. Seems a bit suspicious.
I'd like to telepathically message Liz and just say, I don't really mind secrets, but if you're in any way going to impede our mission or hurt anyone on this ship, I'm going to have to stop you.
Are you using your ability to let Liz reply telepathically, or is that just sending that message out to Liz?
It's just sending it to her and sort of smiling.
I've never met a Kalashtar before, but it's nice to meet you. It's just nice what everyone gets out loud.
I'm gonna swing off the hammock and come and sit down with everybody and not make eye contact with Rudy, but everyone else. Just sort of. It's very sweet of you to show so much interest, Liz. It's not often you meet people who are so deeply fascinated in the clients that they work with on their workplace, but it's good to know that you're very interested in all of the various things that we can do. I say it firmly to everyone around us. If you're interested, I'm a storyteller. I do a little bit of writing, and I like to try and keep my friends safe.
With the insight roll that Liz just rolled, like Liz understands every layer, every element of what you've just said, and kind of like probably having clocked that you seem like quite an insightful person as well, just gives a nod. I'm sure with everyone here you have exciting stories.
I like to think so. I've heard from my audience that they can be quite good. Yes.
I've sort of. So sorry.
No, go on.
I would say, as that kind of thing, I'm just sort of conveying mentally to person by person in the party that Liz is not being entirely truthful, and probably just to mock for the time being that they're a changeling.
Okay. I would like to roll a performance roll, because I think Mucht would like not freak out. He definitely, his demeanor would completely change from being like interested in the jelly deals and kind of humming a song that they're trying to write, so Roll Fantasy.
Sorry, Mucht France.
Yes. To like alert and like, okay. But I don't necessarily want to convey that.
Okay, so you want to roll performance.
Or like deception or something, just to see if I'm able to kind of contain that, maybe.
So one sec, just repeat what you want to convey and what you want to hold back.
Basically, I don't want to convey anything, but I think that Mucht's demeanor would completely change.
Oh, I see. So you're okay. So deception.
Yeah.
Deception or performance, whichever you prefer, because like, and remember, you are wearing a glamour weave tuxedo, which I think helps with your performance if you choose.
I went with the deception because I also get the like advantage from the actor feat thing because I'm pretending to be somebody else. Okay. So and I got a 22.
Yeah. Mucht in persona as Franz looks totally unruffled by that. Liz just kind of eats a couple of things. Like kind of joins in with some of the jelly deals and the pickles. Is right. I better go back to helping Halden. So rest up. Obviously, all we've got is hammocks, but they do us, so I'm sure you'll be fine. And just kind of gives a little wave and goes down into the lower deck.
Good evening, Liz. I don't trust that person at all. I don't know about the rest of you. So as soon as she's gone. Well, you know.
She was lying about how long she'd been here for and what she was doing here. But we all have secrets. Doesn't necessarily mean they're nefarious.
No, but also we are a good gang of secret agents, and you know, well, I say very quietly, we're a good gang of secret agents, and on a ship, and then she just sort of went, oh, so what are all the things that you can do? And you all just went, oh, I can do this, that, and the other, which, you know, is brilliant, stellar espionage work. I should have 10 out of 10.
What if she's reporting on us right now? Shouldn't someone go and follow her?
Pav, you've got
maybe one of the beefy ones.
Yeah, I think as soon as she left like eyeline, invisibility, and followed.
Nice. Okay, so invisibility. I think because it's not greater, is that just giving you advantage to stealth? Because obviously you're still walking around on a creaky ship.
Yeah, anything it doesn't. Oh, in what I can see, there's nothing specifically about stealth, but then maybe it says if you become invisible, in general, as maybe the effect of being invisible gives you advantage on stealth, but this spell doesn't specifically stipulate you get advantage on stealth.
I think typically it does from.
Yeah. What does it look like when, like, is there any kind of little magical performative flourish to when you turn invisible?
I think I say, see you in a bit, folks, and then I just go. Whoop.
As an action, in response to that, as an action, I'm going to do my mind link, which will allow Mark and myself to telepathically communicate for the next hour in case they get into trouble.
Cool. Nice.
And also so they can report to us on what they find.
Nice. So yeah, basically, I'm going to say that it doesn't have anything specifically about stealth, but you can be heard technically. So I'm going to say stealth with stealthing with advantage to kind of eavesdrop on them. So can you please roll me your stealth?
Go on 18.
An 18. So 18. Yeah, you're definitely fine. Basically, you go down, it's a cargo hold. There are a huge number of sacks of things like strung up. There's some kind of actual like dried meat and stuff that's just hanging, and you've got crates and such like, and you can see Holden and Liz. You can see Holden, a human man with kind of like brunette hair, and you're just listening in on the conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All that you hear is Liz saying to Holden, yeah, wait till morning. I think it's best to wait till morning. And that is where we're going to stop this episode of Eberron Terminus. We're just going to leave it with that suspicious little moment. Cool. Thank you so much to everyone who has tuned in and been watching. This is obviously the first episode of 4, so we've got 3 more, and we'll be streaming every Monday night from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. British Summer Time for the next 3 weeks. After that, we will still have things on this channel. We've just got some exciting stuff we're planning, and we will let you know what that is very soon. We also have other streams on at the moment, like Undergods, which is in a homebreed setting and a little bit more of a different kind of high fantasy vibe. But if you keep an eye out on our social media, so that's at Adventurers250 on Twitter, and basically everywhere else, YouTube, Facebook, etc., we are Adventurers Wanted. So check out on there. That's where you'll get the most regular updates about when and where we're streaming. A big thanks again to Ultra Pro and D&D Beyond, who sponsor absolutely everything that we do. We couldn't do this without them, so thank you. And don't forget, you've still got like a couple of moments to go into the Twitch chat and be in with a chance of winning this, which in the break, this was named Beauty. And Vic, would you like to explain that name?
Because beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So do get into Twitch chat if you want to be in a chance of winning beauty. Also, if you head over to our YouTube channel, we've got a whole range of other campaigns and games there. Everything that we stream goes up on YouTube. So there's 250-hour-long marathon campaigns with hundreds of players. There's a few 12-episode campaigns. There's one-shots of different indie RPGs, all sorts of stuff like that. And so that's youtube.com/Adventurers Wanted, and here on Twitch for all our current streams. Also, if you want to support what we do in a different way, you can become a supporter on Patreon. That gets you access to homebrews, playable versions of this, like you'd get this as a playable module that you could do as a home game, and blogs on like writing and running and role-playing and all that kind of stuff. And sneak peeks at what's coming up. So that's patreon.com/Adventurers Wanted, keeping up the theme. Another way you can support us is just telling us on social media, telling people about us on social media. So Twitter, Facebook, anywhere. Do give shout outs and let people know that we're happening. Other than that, the only thing I think to say is just like, thanks so much to all the players, and thanks to everyone who was watching, and we will see you next week. Bye!
See you next week. Bye.